schooled up as a forward in the pre-season. Duday comes in, but Leicester's a big out. Obviously Payne, and then you take another experienced player like Starcevich out. It does change the mix a little bit. One thing that Lions have been able to do is to be able to cover for each other. On the other side, just talking about having those scars, I suppose, Brownie, and having to face those. It's not a bad position for Sydney when there's really there's no downside. There's nothing on the end, so it changes it a little bit. But it is an opportunity for them to try and make up for lost ground, or maybe try and cleanse some of those scars a little bit. The other one is for Isaac Heaney. He's played 6 games on the Gabba, and he's yet to gather over 20 possessions. So an individual sort of, as when you're a player, you carry these memories of a venue. You have a feeling about a venue, so he'd be wanting to avenge that in some ways as well.
Won the last 5 games. Obviously, most of them have been close, but the grand final was the outlier in terms of the margin. But it was very tight at the start of the season as well.
Yeah, it was. Probably should have won. Sydney should have won that game there, Sergio. Very hot day. And arguably should have won late last year. That was a magnificent game. Hutto here at the Gabba. So looking forward to a close battle today. I think they're pretty evenly matched. Brisbane are hampered in their back line. Who's going to be the Tom Papley matchup? Would have been normally Starcevich or Ainsworth. And then James Jordan, who does he go for? Because he had Lockie Neal earlier on in the year and kept him quiet, Bucks.
There's a little, just reading body language and in the eyes of the Sydney players, I expect this to be pretty hot, the first 5. They look like they're up and about and ready for the challenge. Brisbane want to be ready for that. The other thing I'd be interested in is who gets more midfield time, with Lockie Neal out. I think Jasper Fletcher's going to have to go back to play that high back role to thicken the soup there with their backs. He might have been a candidate for that. Reville or Marshall probably go to the wing. So it'll be interesting to see how they decide to structure up, because they'll be wanting to look at something different for September as well.
The grand finalists of last year meet again for the second time this year. Lions on track to be there again when the whips are cracking. The Swans, can they play the role of record today? First possession is with Hugh McCluggage. It's a midfield without Lockie Neal today, but laden with Sydney stars. Heaney gets the first meaningful kick. Wilmot has been so good this year, disruptive kick. He's running mate off halfback Zorko, working together. He just gains ground any way he can. Depth on the kick from Wilmot, bangs it up. Morris doesn't quite get the access, but Blakey is able to handle the mark and handle Smith. Works his way out of there by McCartney's a little untidy. Mills has settled down in defence since his return in the back half of the season. Lloyd looping it over the top to Jordan, and Wicks nudges the kick up to the wing, floating in Andrews. We saw that a bit last week.
Yeah, he started where he left off. There's no doubt that he's going to be one that they want to go around Sydney, but the run and carry game out of defensive 50 obvious already. They're going to try and run the ball against the Brisbane's initial line of defence and pressure.
9 disposals last week, Harris Andrews, 9 intercepts.
I've already seen that Darcy Wilmot's first touch. That's show and go. He's so penetrating when he gets the pill, especially through the centre corridor.
Bangs it up there. The man of last week, 6-goaler. And Logan Morris wasn't too far away from another launch.
He reads it so well, Hutto. He's only 191 centimetres. We'll quickly go to this matchup. So Lockie Neal's not there, so James Jordan will go for you, McCluggage today, the game breaker for the Lions.
Smashed out of there by Grundy.
That's a good call. You don't often get that call when you've already got an arm before the ball actually gets to you. When the ump calls one of those early in the game, it sends a message to the tagger that's not going to be accepted.
34 disposals last week. Oh, there's a juggle from Dunkley. It was 3/4 claiming the mark.
He's an honest player too. He must have thought that he got that left hand to the first touch.
Maybe.
You're going to try it on.
Tries that on with a quick snap. And it goes through.
Outstanding. Dangerous part of the ground for Brisbane. So clearly Dean Cox would have brought it up throughout the week, but this is where they can really hurt sides. They're a fantastic forward 50 stoppage team. This time Dunkley doesn't get the mark. He gets down there and goes, well, bugger you. You're not going to pay me the mark. I'm going to kick it myself out of the stoppage. Good effort. Great finish.
Yeah, great response for not getting paid. the mark that may have been or may not have been, but it didn't matter. He's so good at staying in the moment. Next opportunity, next contest. So dangerous around stoppage, big body, and the ability to get ball to boot really quickly and effectively.
Big game in round one. Big game last week with season high 31 disposals. Look at that. Ashcroft took it. Had to turn to get it going his way. Rayner, who was dominant in the second half last week, places it very wide for Henry Smith, who made his debut against the Swans last year. Can't get access this time.
And Smith had been encouraged by his performance early last week.
Absolutely.
The spots there for grabs, isn't there?
Yeah, there certainly is. Searing pass to Heaney from Blakey. The Swans get it to half forward. McLean remains standing, so he might have the job on trying to keep Harris Andrews honest.
The important roll back into the side now, Hayden McLean.
Concussion, kicks it into the forward 50. Gardner is fully committed. There's Buller trying to whack it back. He's made an impression. Gardner again, throwing his body around. Packley to Campbell. The left footer took a while to get set. And missed it by a fair margin.
He did all the hard work, but was not quite able to hit the ball properly. That contest win by McLean against Andrews, you don't see that often. That's a really strong-bodied effort. Great contested mark.
On the way out, Cunningham, superior judgment that time.
Set up well behind the ball, Sydney. Fantastic team defence.
So the veteran, who's number one small defending role taken over by Wicks this year, Warner, with the brakes on. Tapley has the responsibility of the kick inside. Florent, out of position by Bailey. There's another who had a word from the coach at halftime last week and had to lift.
He did lift. He had 12 disposals in that quarter three.
Yeah, kicked 2 goals that were critical as well against the Magpies. Good reach from Blakey. And he's taken off. Smith has to be aware of that. Swans go forward and Heaney.
Set up really well behind the ball, across the mid-line of the ground. Sydney, good numbers, well spaced, get the turnover, and then I love how Blakey went straight back at them. He realised even numbers ahead of the ball.
That's 2 one-on-one wins from Blakey against Smith, and an out of bounds in the full that Smith wasn't able to get his hands to, so he needs to be stronger in the contest. Halve them when you can't win them.
So Isaac Heaney, he's normally so proficient on his left boot with the snaps just like that. His 31st goal of the season.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a good effort, isn't it? For predominantly a midfielder, Hutto. Josh Dunkley will be the one to watch, so we know that he clamped him after half-time of the grand final last year. He's usually the cooler player, so that gets his attention. Now, we know Dunkley's ready to kick the goal, so they might just go head-to-head and try and beat each other that way, but I'd expect him to get some sort of attention.
Averaging 1.5 goals per game this year.
So Isaac Heaney starting in centre bounce and then drifting forward. Jordan starting forward and then heading up to McCluggage. Will Ashcroft in the inside 50 before Heaney took that mark. Will Ashcroft was following Heaney down, but he was loose and free. Something that the Lions are going to have to keep their eye on.
Grundy gets the better of 4 to Warner. They're looking dangerous out of the middle. Sheldrick would like to have made better contact, obviously. These are players going every which way. It allowed Rayner free rein at it. He's kicked out wide as marked by Wicks. Made quite an impression as that small defender. Doesn't get the goal this year. He was the small forward previously. Bangs it up beyond the 50 and Gardner had access that time.
They'll make a better contest there, the Sydney forwards.
Played on, was able to adapt. Young Marshall, an experience for him last week. His first full game up against two side bottom for some of the game.
Looked all right too, Hutto.
Did, yeah. A couple of important touches late. Looks around with Ashcroft and then Zorko nudges it into the middle. The stretch is a good one from Dunkley. When's it time to go? Whistle from the outer zone.
Goulden. So against Goulden, he's given Dane Zorko a clip around the left ear.
Was that after? Because it was a downfield free kick that was paid.
Yeah, so there was 2.
And then there was
a
another one.
free kick and then the 50-metre penalty.
So Goulden's he's the leader of the Swans. There's just been too many sort of behind play free kicks that they've given up. It's part of the discipline required to play really solid team football. You can't give a team like the Lions this sort of field position with ill discipline.
It's something they've had during the season, isn't it? Start of the year, there's a bit of talk about the line and not crossing it. Well, Dunkley's crossed the line today. He's kicked 1 goal already, and he had a chance to kick the first 2. And without looking at the numbers, I'm not sure how many times in Josh Dunkley's career he would have kicked the first 2 goals of any game.
Nah.
It's pretty hard not to be at the top of the mark thinking, I could kick my second in the first 5 minutes, and then you go away from process.
He did have that one season where it was his last at the Bulldogs, where he was made to play forward rather than in the middle. There's a nice fly from Warner.
So there's been a lot of contested marks taken already, not a lot of ground ball.
That was a very carefree handball, wasn't it, from Warner? Maybe they need to show a little bit more protection of it, but they might work their way through. Row bottom, and here's Sheldrick. High ball up into the 50, fairly aimless.
Hasn't quite come on. Sheldrick, he's getting a lot more midfield time, a lot more game time, opportunity at the senior level than maybe the last couple of years, but just not quite making it happen yet.
Leads are on it. Hipwood on the turn. Rushes it in there. Can McCartan get back? No, he can't. Norris. He's smiling now. He can't help but smile. He's the modern-day Brad Johnson smiling assassin.
Brownie, what do you see when you see this young fella run around and do his thing? He's a natural forward, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got great footy IQ. He reads the play really well, very instinctive, and he makes the most of his opportunity. No, he's only 191 centimetres, Bucks. He's got fantastic aerial craft, so he looks like he's a lot taller the way he jumps and times his run.
Stunning game last week. Career high 6 goals, 6 marks, 2 contested marks. Cameron has stolen another one as well, so he could have had 7. He's got 1 this afternoon. And he's become a central figure to the Brisbane Lions in their bid for back-to-back premiers, which is just amazing at the age he is in his second season.
Incredible. Yeah, it's been a fantastic pick-up. He shows great maturity. He's got a beautiful set shot there. He kicks big goals in big games. Just a wonderful player. Here's the Dane Zorko incident. Just a little clip there. It's a backhand, not a lot in it, by Errol Gould there. So it was down the field. That's how it started the run. Good awareness by Hipwood.
Just have a look at this mark. He's going back into oncoming pressure. He knows it's there, and that's what courage is. There was no way that he wasn't going to look after everything that he had to look after to take that mark. He wasn't shirking it. He kept his eyes on the ball. He went to highest point. If he didn't take the mark, it was going to have to be spoiled and spoiled well. But that's just a sign of a really solid player who's prepared to do what he has to do to win a contest.
So Lions had the lead back by just that 1 goal, but Swans through Mills, rush forward, and another intercept mark back there, this time from Wilmot.
And just as a follow-up on the Dane Zorko one, he's just gone down the race with the doctor to just get that left ear patched up, a bit of blood coming from it.
All sorts of danger in that kick. Andrews tries to tidy up with a ready work. Pull of those, not making it easy for him. That is a terrific tackle. Hassel to the ground, and...
Did Harris not try to beat the tackle then? If you try to beat the tackle, I think that's not dissimilar to offend or something. He had a chance here to handball it right there and maybe there, but he chose to try and fight the tackle. I think that's prior.
I agree.
Hard to argue with him. The Pluggage wriggles his way out of there to Archie down the line. Hipwood, lively early, just feeding it back, working with Dunkley. Now he's picking off his right boot. They made a pretty good fist of it down the line. Not quite for Archie.
150 for Tommy McCartan today. So
it's great to be back, Brownie, too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. They look a lot more solid behind the ball. So clearly he's a fantastic key position defender. So he goes back to resume his spot on Logan Morris. He helps organise them as well. Allows Nick Blakey to play his role up the field a bit more, Hutto.
Yeah, exactly. And got more of the ball, Blakey, particularly last week. Working around Levi Ashcroft. Just pops it up again. Archie's been the focus. It's easy fodder for Blakey, and then McInerney. Sheldrick had no time. His kick was wiped out, so the follow-up from Malikan. Loopy handball. Wicks going to go in after Totoli. Back to him. There's a whistle.
It's a really low pressure game at this stage. Sitting at 146, we haven't seen a number that low for a long time. I think it's partly around this aerial dominance that we're seeing from both teams. A lot of contested marks have been taken in one-on-one, less ground ball, therefore less pressure. But yeah, Sydney want to put a little bit more heat on the Lions.
Gordon just to the overcommitment from Wilmot allows them to move forward now. with system. Mills to Sheldrick. He waited till Lloyd caught up. Been playing in the front half and delivers. And the young man is going to go back here and have a shot for goal from the forward pocket. He kicked a couple of behinds last week. Batoli.
It's a little henny.
He's getting the opportunity late in the season. Had injury in the first half of the year. The stress reaction over the pre-season to a lower back. A couple of deep breaths. Jesse Batoli, his second game. Quite good to work back it up.
This was part of the Swans game. No, their ability to move the ball from half back to forward bucks this year, that certainly has still been a strong part of their game.
Yeah, the running carry there was a lot of pressure. I was into the Swans about their pressure. The Lions were standing off then, and the Swans took advantage. Young Datoli wants to get the monkey off his back. He's had 3 points now, two last week, and this one, he'd be really keen to kick that first goal.
I've got more than one mention of the coverage last week, but his dad, Vinny, a bit of a local footy legend in Heidelberg. Coach of the last 2 flags.
Just knocked up getting flags in there.
And the coaches, Chris Fagan, he was delighted with last week, but he had a bit of anxiety about today up against the Swans. Jordan checking closely, too closely, to Levi Ashcroft. It probably would have been at the coach's door, I reckon, early in the week, asking for more midfield minutes, Brownie.
I think so.
In the absence of Lockie Neal, that's a great kick. Into Berry from Charlie Cameron, and then deep to full forward. Morris again got a free rein in the air. That time McCartan takes care of business. McInerney giving them the dash out of halfback. They were big strides, weren't they? Florent did well to release it to Goulden. Great handball and run. They are on full charge. Now it's Sheldrick up towards full forward Campbell. It's a nice finish.
Yeah, we just spoke about their ability to move the ball from one end of the ground to the other has been outstanding all season, but just starting to supercharge it now in the last few minutes. Good turnover. I'm liking the way they're just getting back in defence, supporting. Good spoil there by McCartan. Gets it down to Matt McInerney. He breaks the lines, and they take the lines on through the centre, and that's what you have to do here at the Gabba.
Now the finish. Braden Campbell, 14 goals, 15 for the season. So some of this has been problematic, but that was one of their best passes of play for the season for the Swans, and it had to be a goal.
Yeah, excellent play and transition from D50 to forward 50. They've been able to go end to end 75% of their rebounds. So that's a question very early for, it's actually 80%, 4 or 5 that they've been able to go end to end. They've scored 1 goal, 2 from their back half intercepts, and that one was as clean and as crisp as you'd like to see. They've got through that first line of Lions pressure that was evident from the beginning. And the Swans wanting to run and carry at every opportunity, trying to get as many players in there. You know, if the Lions got 3 defenders, they want 4 runners. If they got 4, they want 5, and they're prepared to run it through that first line of pressure, and we've seen them get through more often than not early in this match.
What's started here, hasn't it, from the heart of the Gabba? Fort, who played his 50th game last week, is well and truly contained.
He's almost, what's he up to, like 10 seasons now, 50 games.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Debut, and he was 26 when he made his debut for the Cats. Warner off the outside of the boot.
Yes.
Sheldrick.
50. Yeah, like sloppy by Dane Zorko. He'll argue against it, but you just can't afford to come in late like that.
I think he was arguing. I didn't think he was. He didn't think it was 15 metres.
Right. So now Angus Sheldrick gets a much better look at the sticks.
Get a bit of the ball. This will be his 6th touch.
5 goals, 7 for the year. 3-year contract signed recently, so his future is well and truly secure. Perfect line to kick through the mowing line, the goal line, and the Swans have started well.
Yeah, good start. Just starting to get a top there around the stoppages and ground ball as well. The ball is on the ground there. They look a lot better, Bucks. The Swans look lively at ground level, so here's the free kick. Yeah, you could argue that's not 15 metres, but at the end of the day, the whistle gets blown. A little bit stiff, but it is what it is. Sheldrick's good enough to go back and kick the goal.
Yeah, you don't have to tap the ball out either if you're going to look to put that pressure. You can have a little bit each way. That's the first kick Sheldrick's got on his preferred foot too. Been caught on his right foot quite a few times, so good for him to be able to have that time to settle.
Did he get that right footer to find Campbell though, didn't he?
He did, and it was excellent. But he, get the 50-metre penalty when you're 80 metres out. That's good fun as a player. Take those.
6-4 for the season now for Angus Sheldrick. Out of the middle, Brisbane need to spark up, and Levi Ashcroft gets his opportunity. Look at the pack capsized at the back. It's all Sydney standing. There's a couple of lines down in a heap. Archie and Smith. The ball comes away. Mini was out of his reach. There's Robot and Reveal.
And good, the Swans tidying up the defensive 50. Big collision there. Lions players, friendly fire. Smith and Archie.
Archie was going back hard. And you don't see him stay down that often, as you can see here. He's just gone back without any concern. And he took the full brunt of Smith coming through in that contest. And they wouldn't have seen each other at any stage, so that would have come out of the blue. So that body
winded.
Stop and play for now.
Yeah, Smith's heavily winded. Actually, looks like he's the same as well. He might have caught one in the head on the way through. Smith got him. He got Smith in the stomach.
It's good size, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a big boy. Shoulders on him.
And we'll look, Devin Robertson, as we mentioned, the late inclusion, and is the sub.
And McLaughlin's done more to get out of the way there.
Yeah.
Caden Cleary with that roll for the Sydney Swans, who have made an excellent start. Lead by 7. Good intercept. The handball from Ashcroft. Bangs it up. Knocked out of there by McCartan. Straight back to Levi Ashcroft to Dunkley. The hands were quick and the strength was apparent from Rayner to Wilmot. But not strong enough to shake off Campbell completely. Zorko gave it straight to Warner, and then high contact appeared to be. Yeah.
Fantastic tackle out by Campbell. So, but Wilmot was out. He had the runner outside of him, stopped his serve, shot a goal.
Zorko a little frustrated. Wicks kicks it back into the middle of it.
That tackle by Zorko was high, and then he wanted to make the most of it because he knew the free kick was going away. He's on tilt at the moment, Zane Dorker. Zane Dorker. I'm on tilt.
You're not the first. You probably won't be the last. Dunkley into the middle. Ashcroft this time tries to measure the pass, and the dimensions were pretty good to the leading McLaughlin. Archie, that floats just didn't quite hit the right part of the footy.
McLaughlin will learn, but you just can't afford to try and get it in the breadbasket when you've got a defender behind you. Always get the hands out. He's not a tall player. He's not a tall player, but when you get in those contests, you just got to get your arms out.
He is a leaper though, Bucks. He's shown his spring took a hanger down at Geelong in his last game.
Yep.
Gets an opportunity today. McCartan comes away. Crisp contact on the kick. Goes a push from Fletcher in the middle of the back. Well spotted by the umpire. To Campbell. McInerney. Stand start. Papley. Clean calling for it long. Ball's also there in the pocket at the top of your screen to the left.
Trying to avoid Harris Andrews here. Kicks it straight to him.
Gets across. Bullock keeps him honest. Fires the handball to Grundy. Just part of the chain. Rowbottom. Warner. Waiting till he had the right option. Didn't see anything. So back for a bit of recycling to Cunningham. And then Florent scrambles it forward. I'll be disappointed with that.
11% mark so far. So it's the 8th for the Brisbane Lions this first quarter.
Dangerous to Will Ashcroft. Slightly misplaced. Sheldrick does well. Runs the interference. Dunkley and Ashcroft and Fletcher and Levi back to Will. And didn't want to commit till the moment was right. Goes long and high down the line. Set up for an Archie float. Could have been some high stuff there on McCartan. And Rose Cunningham takes the advantage. Quick sticks, gets it across to Mills. Over Papley's head. Gardner was there with the spoiled. Buller though. Other forward handball. Swans are coming again. Jordan to the outside. Goulden is wrong-sided. So back onto the left. Took a bit of time. Saw off Wilmot. And then his kick was perfect to Campbell.
Very good, yes. Just with Fletcher, went back to protect the goal square. It was the right thing to do, but Campbell was smart. He got back to Fletcher, then hooked back at the kicker. And it was just too late for Fletcher to make up the ground. He's been lively early, Campbell. They had a really good tackle back in defensive 50 moments ago to stop a certain shot at goal for the Lions. That time, beautiful kick by Gould. He's made a difference since he's come back on this side about 8 weeks ago, Hutto.
Different team, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they are really going to make life difficult for the Brisbane Lions today. They just need to convert their chances, and unfortunately, from Swans' point of view, Campbell can't do that on this occasion.
This is the epitome of a high transition game. It basically is going end to end. There's only been 4 front half turnovers collectively, so you're just not getting the ball back. Both sides' offences are ahead. That could have been the 5th, but it was dropped.
So why is that, do you think?
Well, it's a lack of pressure. Brisbane are going at 2.8 kicks for every handball, so they're just going kick mark and still getting through. Sydney are going 1.1, so they're going like for every handball, a handball for every kick, so they're just handballing it through. But both modes are effective, more effective than the opposition defence at the moment.
That was a brilliantly effective handball from Marshall, which said this phase in train. The Ashcroft kick finds Hipwood.
Both teams having to attack the corridor as well, Bucks.
Because it's so open.
Well up the ground from the side. There's the leap of McLaughlin. Tries to feed it through, though. Rampy. Can the Swans work their way by hands? Again, they can. Cunningham down the line with the forward handball. Made that kick all in haste more than anything. And wobbled down from Sheldrick, but they had good representation there. Rowbottom. McAdoo is kicked into the square, and Buller, he thought about playing on, but he's going to try and make sure of it now.
Yeah, just 2 days into the side for the first game after a couple of years of knee reconstruction. So he just building confidence, looking for confidence. Just to me, he looked a bit tentative there. Obviously in the new system, wasn't sure whether to go and back up Harris Andrews. Just got there a step too late.
This man's starting to make an impression. Jack Buller is another who's had some injuries. Has the obstacles in his career, but he's worked the angles nicely.
Yeah, I think what you find when you haven't played much footy and you come back, the game goes up a level. It doesn't matter if you've played VFL, if you've played Quaffle, if you've done match practice and scrimmage. I mean, he probably couldn't get to that highest point with McLean, even if he was 5 metres closer up. But it was good play by McLean, but the Swans were out the back. So the Brisbane are pressing up, but Sydney are getting through with hands. And as soon as you get through with hands through that initial line of pressure, well, then the options are available to you.
Bucks, you've touched on it a couple of times. That transition from defensive 50 for the Swans is right up there. So it's still at 62%.
Yeah.
Whereas the Lions are not moving it as well, but they're at 28%. So the Swans could be well and truly in control of this game if they kick straighter.
As it is, they lead by 13. Over the top 4. At least knocked the Brisbane's way to Levi Ashcroft. Leading it back to Will. Starting to get more and more into the game. His 8th disposal. Too strong for Archie. Cameron against his old foe, Harry Cunningham. They've been combatants for about a decade when these two sides have met.
Tell you something Chris Fager wouldn't be happy with. Brisbane's tackling efficiency at 29% held tackles. That might explain part of the reason why Sydney's moving the ball easily from end to end, Bucks.
Well, pressure's 152 to 149.
Archie with a little handoff. I think he's out.
Which pretty much says there is no pressure on the ball.
Bucks, that's match sim on a Thursday night, isn't it? That sort of pressure.
And that is the sort of
It's probably walkthroughs at the moment.
That really does roll the coach too, doesn't it? Those sort of numbers.
Well, yeah. I think they'll both get a raz at quarter time. You need to put pressure on. Sydney's of 7, their 7 scores, 5 of them come from the back half.
Caught with a tap, Rayner. His fleeting opportunity is passed. Wicks stuck off the ground.
Said missed tackles there. 2 for the Lions, 1 for Sydney. That doesn't ring true. How do you be 28% tackling efficiency if you've only missed 2 tackles?
What a big swing and a miss. Mills to Goulden. Those familiar names. And there's another. Warner can't quite break loose. Papley can. Reveal. Tremendous. That's how you use your hands. And that is how you finish from Warner. That is great football. That is the Sydney Swans back at their best.
The Sydney slingshot. Tom Papley and the other half forwards, they get right up the ground there to help that slingshot. We've seen it many times over the years when they play their best footy. They are transitioning the ball far too easily at the moment, but they're keeping it alive. So quick handballs in there, quick kick forward, good contest head of the ball. And we just see Papley, who's able to turn up to that contest after getting really high up the ground. Forward handball again, and the elite speed of Chad Warner. This tackle again.
That's 9 chains that have started in their defensive 50. 2 from kick-ins, that one from stoppage, and 6 intercepts. Of those 9, 6 have gone inside 50. So 66% of that of their rebounds have gone inside 50, and they've scored 2 goals too. So that just says to me, not enough pressure on the initial ball from Brisbane, and no structure out the back to stop it after that.
They've kicked the last 4.
They're dragged up the ground. The halfbacks for the Lions are getting dragged right up the field.
Jordan sends it deep. Here's Andrews to come and smash the pack again. At the front, it's just a hurried kick out of there from Dunkley. Gains some ground. Morris to the firing line. McCartan took care of business. Lloyd goes to ground, so they're now outnumbered. Reveal. There's Morris again. Tight against the line. McLean, I think he kicked it out of the foot, hasn't he? Or is it? No, it's out of the foot.
On the play, Harris Andrews screaming at his teammates to bring the ball down. So there's the Lloyd injury. There it is. Coccyx.
Yeah.
What a great injury. Always hurts.
How did you go to anatomy?
Not too bad. I actually fractured my sacrum, which is beside the coccyx, which is it wasn't real.
Didn't tickle?
Nice. No, it didn't tickle. Going to bed that night, Bucks. Slept on my stomach, I would have thought.
That's deep high.
Because they're all over me here, the Swans. Fags, there's a lot of leadership in this Lions team, and they're not quite able to work it out to stop this onslaught at the moment. Probably need a bit of a breather to have a chat.
Has to be a doctor. No, Chris Fagan's got a headache at the moment. Here's Bailey, comes away. Even that wasn't a pure handball. Ashcroft made it look better. Back to Reveal. Can they get some system going here, Barry? Might be high, but it has slowed them down. So back into the fraction.
That's not all right.
No,
It's a wrong call.
Yeah, correct. He brought that on himself.
Ashcroft to the outside. Wilmot loves them on the fly. Had a long time to think about it. Same result. That's what he gives her off half-back. Wilmot, what a start.
Well, on the flip side, the Lions have gone 6 change from back 53 insides for 2 goals won. So we've seen 4 goals, 3 visits, 7 scores emanate from their respective defensive 50s, which means we're seeing a lot of that end-to-end ball use, and that may or may not have taken place if that free kick wasn't paid to Berry. We can argue that as much as we like, but that's the way it panned out, and they were able to take advantage of it.
Great finish by Darcy Wilmot. The Lions needed that. He does get high up the field, doesn't he? Maybe they've gone too high at stage of this first quarter, but he is their most attacking half-back weapon. Zorko gets a lot of the footy, but he tends to do it out of the back half. Quite often, Wilmot will get touched in the front half.
Yeah, team lifting goals too, aren't they, in that style? Speaking of team lifting, Will Ashcroft deep, searching for Smith, but Blakey.
3 1-on-1s. And Blakey's given it to him.
While lying on his back on the ground like a good lizard, he was able to verbal his young opponent, and then had the temerity just to take off and leave him behind. But Smith might have the last laugh here. Fort can belt it back in, and he's skilled with the kick.
9 intercept marks now for the Brisbane Lions, so that's an area of the game for the Swannies. Just got to tidy up. So yes, they're going fast, but a few of the kicks have just been sloppy.
Well, it's like any time the Swans kick it, it gets intercepted, so you might as well keep handballing it, because that's been working for them.
Career high 8 intercept marks last week. Ruckman almost went to ground. Levi and Will Ashcroft both on the move, so they're trying to press them back here. Cunningham has taken the kick that we know is a dangerous one. Helped out by McInerney. Goulden just flung it across the Tatoli. His kick goes along the wing. Stepping in front, though, as always, is Harris Andrews. Slightly off the outside of the boot. Dunkley. Oh, he spears it to Will Ashcroft.
So we talk about, take a breather. Let's just pump the brakes and get into quarter time. It looks like the Lions are going to kick the last. Well, they'll definitely kick one, maybe kick 2 goals before they get to their coach. So that is leadership, and that is a little bit about their newfound, I suppose, creativity and willingness to attack. If we're in a spot, let's go harder. Let's go harder forward, and that's exactly what the Lions have done this last minute and a half.
Don't need to tell the Sydney Swans about the damage this young man can do, Will Ashcroft. Norm Smith medalist in the grand final last year. 12 disposals today, but he can't finish off the work. So the frustration right to the end of that opening quarter for Chris Fagan. Brisbane Lions freshman, great win over Collingwood last week. Jump back top 2 after tonight with a victory. Find themselves 2 goals down. Last year's grand final opponents, the Sydney Swans, have started well. Went for a cracking afternoon at the Gap.
All right, folks, there we go. It's quarter time. I tell you what, the Sydney Swans, they're going all right in the opening term. 5-3-33. The Lions 3-3-21. Oh, I tell you what, it's a good contested game here. I tell you what, the Lions were just looking a little bit unsure of themselves a bit in that quarter. I tell you what, Sydney certainly come out to play. They want to do some damage up there at the Gabba to the Brisbane Lions. Brisbane Lions. I tell you what, they need to get back on track if they want to be serious contenders. I think last week I actually put Brisbane Collingwood out of contention for the flag this year. Let's see how the Brisbane Lions respond today and the next couple of weeks, Paul. M. King, how you going, Squire? J-Mar's in the house. M. King. Tine Paul, what's going on over there, Squire? There we go. Cats will beat the Swans next week. I tell you what, they should do. We expect that. It's a danger game for sure. You can always count on the AFL umpires to help their protected species at the SCG. I tell you what, it's like that. When I do watch a few games, it is definitely like that. The umpires do favour some teams, I reckon, to try and get them up and about. You're probably not too far off. I'll tell you what, Brisbane Lions have got their work cut out. Will Ashcroft was pretty good in the dying moments of that game with some big plays there. He's looking pretty sharp out there for the Lions so far. Just have a look at this ladder. Have a look at that. That is the season ladder at the moment. Sydney Swans down there in 10th. This is if they win, because Sydney are in front. That is the live ladder. There we go. A couple of games out of the 8. Still, they won't make it because their percentage is just too low. And, of course, Brisbane Lions, I tell you what, they're playing for top spot. They are playing for top spot on the ladder. They have to win. They've got everything on the line here. If Brisbane lose this, I tell you what, they're a chance to drop down into the bottom half of the top 8 next week if they get beat again. But they could go on top if they win today. They need to that extra 2 points with that draw, because their percentage is, well, the percentage is the worst in the top 8. Top 9, it is the worst. So luckily they got that draw on the 2 points, so if they win this, go on top of the ladder with 2 rounds to go. Everything to play for Brisbane Lions. You'd think they would want this so much. Hey, let's just have a look at the ins and outs before we go any further, because we didn't get around to this. Of course, for Brisbane, Tom Dodie coming in, Devon Robinson, Will McLaughlin coming in, Lester, Lockie Neal, big out for the Lions today. Brandon Starship is also a big out for the Lions. Tom Dodie is the new player. Devon Robinson, the sub. Of course, for Sydney, Hayden McLean back in. Peter Laddams out. Caden Cleary is the sub. And, of course, the milestone game, Tom McCartan, 150 games there for the Sydney Swans. There are your ins and outs. There is your list. Who's playing today? Let's go on and jump over and have a look at the goal scorers so far and the leading disposal getters. All singles, of course. No multiple goal scorers. Darcy Wilmot, Logan Morris, Josh Dunkley, the goal scorers there for Brisbane. For the Sydney Swans, it's the Chad. The Chad's got one. Sheldry's got one. Isaac Heaney's bobbed up with one. Braden Campbell, Jack Buller Tell you what, the Stars in the mix already in this opening term. The ball magnets, Will Ashcroft, as I said, playing a pretty good game so far. He's on top of the table. The only one in double figures up until quarter time. He's got 12. 8 kicks, 4 handballs, 2 marks, 2 clearances. Just kicked that behind. Had a shot after the siren, but it just faded left and through for a behind. Chad Warner, Sheldrick, Jordan, Goulden, all on 8. So some of their guns firing early, which is fantastic for Sydney. Any wonder they're going well in this opening term. Josh Dunkley, next best for the Brisbane Lions on 8. Wilmot and Levi Ashcroft on 7. I'll just quickly roll this down. There we go. Eric Hitwood's been in the action a little bit, already 5 touches for him, which is good to see. Nick the Blakey Lizard Man, he's on 5. Also, Isaac Heaney. Well, he's kicked a goal. But he's only had 4 touches. Got to get him into the game a little bit more. I'm pretty sure they said he hasn't had over like 20 disposals at the Gabba. Interesting stat that we heard there from the commentators. But there are some of your stats for your players up until quarter time. There we go. Brodie Grundy, tell you what, a little bit quiet for the Swans. Expect him to have a big impact in the final 3 quarters. 1 disposal, 10 hit-outs. All right, let me just quickly take that up. Put that back there. Let's head back down to the action for the second quarter, where it's the Swans by 2 goals.
So this is a fascinating battle. The Sydney Swans had a great start. Brisbane have been excellent starters this year, but not so much today. Will Ashcroft, his 13th disposal in the absence of Lockie Neal. Hills try and bounce off half back through Heaney, back again. Skipper wobbles 1 forward, but controlled by Wilmot eventually. To Zorko. Always prepared to take the kick, no matter how much danger is involved, because the benefits are extreme. Will Ashcroft again on the bounce. Almost got through to McLaughlin. There is McCartan. Mills, not a lot of time to operate, so it's handball. Malikan confronted. They're averting the danger, but only just, barely can they skate through now. Rampy feeding it back to Florence. The intercept, it didn't quite come. They dominated that area in the first quarter of the Lions. Gardner back to Reveal. Thrashes it deep. He's moving hipward. He's moving well.
Bit of forward pressure by Brisbane, man. They had 8 tackles in the first quarter. Just couldn't lay hands on the Swans enough. Or the held tackles that time, great. Forward pressure outstanding. They turned the ball over in the front half. Good come forward by Darcy Gardner. Gets the opportunity for the turnover.
Now Eric Hipwood, game 198. Only 5 goals in the past 11 games. Won't be easy for a left footer, but you can see what he's going to do here. Oh, had a good sound off the boot, and now it makes a great sound all around the Gabba. Big goal from Eric.
That was absolutely flushed. Absolutely flushed. That hit it exactly where he needed to on his non-preferred. We mentioned Granny. The tackles, only 8 for the Lions and 8 for the Swans. There wasn't actually a tackle laid in that bit of play, but the pressure was better. So there was a little bit of heat on the player with the ball in hand from Sydney's perspective, which invariably took time and space away for the kick that needed to go up to the wing, and they were able to turn that over, get the re-entry in the goal.
I like the grand final. Brownie only kicked 1 goal, but it was one to remember.
Goal of the day, though. And the sound, you're right, though. The sound of it. It's like one of those spud games when your kids growing up. Boom.
What were you getting up to?
When I hit you in the back.
We're out in the country.
Take your word for it, Grundy the tap. Red by McCluggage off to Dunkley. Those torpedoes at forward. McLaughlin has Hipwood. He's got the blood pumping, the adrenaline up.
I'm putting the spud in a muffler.
See, the country boys are coming to the fore now. Now, Hutto, you mentioned the performance of Will Ashcroft up to 14 touches without Lockie Neal there, but also James Jordan's doing a good job on Hugh McCluggage, held him to just 5.
Which he would have been the most disappointed one, wouldn't he, with Lockie Neal going out of the team?
He would have. No, he was coming for him. Spent some time with him in the grand final. James Jordan on Hugh McCluggage.
Long move there. Kick was smothered, bounces back. Very disciplined stuff. The kick from Reveal was a little wonky. Melican gets a reprieve. Driving ball, Warner. Wants to pull the trigger on the handball, and maybe he's a bit careless with the kick.
They need to keep going. The one-on-one's ahead of the ball and a lot of space.
Dunphy able to lay it off, and then they're targeting wide. McLaughlin this time, just extra centimetres handy for McCartan. Steaming away. Gordon. The light was watching. It's kicking cut on a lot of territory, which gave Berry a great sight. Now is the time to give it to Will Ashcroft from 45 out. Morris Lee, the market will let it go. He apologises as he takes the mark. You've got nothing to be sorry for.
You absolutely need to do that, don't you?
You've got to make certain you don't. He didn't know he was going to hit the post. Then they having a laugh and joke about it.
He knew exactly what he needed to do. He went and did that. But this is what we've seen. We've already seen. So this is the third chain that's come out. Third front half turnover for the Lions. They've been able to keep the ball in field position. Or maybe he could have left it. You're not going to go and lead the goal kicking if you leave those ones. He owes him one.
I know they want to come back into the corridor, the Swans, but that was way too risky. Even player around Gordon's capabilities with his kicking.
He had to kick that 75. He was optimistic at best.
I think Morris is still kicking himself. He thinks, that's exposed me.
Swans are going to hit back straight away because they've now chained up 3 consecutive goals after Sydney kicked 4 of their own in a row in that opening term. Sheldrick's kick. Grundy turns around but can't stop Andrews again. Intervening in the air. Marshall, first planted. Jordan kept his feet. Fed it to Heaney. This would be some snap. And missed to the wrong side. It's hard to believe that Logan Morris, at his age, Brownie, 42 goals already. I was having a look back through the records today about the age of some of the great goal kickers of all time, and fits in well. Look at this string of handballs already. From Fletcher to Archie, floats it out wide. He's getting up the ground as well. Morris just guides it to Rayner, and off the left boot, and that was superb to McLaughlin.
Tell you one matchup that is working for the Lions. Darcy Fort's had 3 touches. Brodie Grundy's had 1. Now, there's been hardly any stoppages because there's been such high transition. So that takes Brodie away from his preferred method of winning the ball, which is follow-up from ruck work. But
get a lot to 39 last week.
Massive. So, I mean, Fort has played some really good stopping roles, or nearly, tagging roles against his opposition number, and already started this game really well.
Mid-season pick last year from Geelong Falcons, Will McLaughlin. Kicked 2 goals on debut. Hasn't kicked one since.
Yes.
That's about to change. Lions in front.
Yeah, good kick. Took his opportunity. He nailed that one. Straight through the big sticks. It's good size, actually. This is great transition by the Lions. They know they can do that. It's been on show. It's a fast deck out there. Even though there's been a little bit of rain, both teams are playing aggressive football, and you can do this to the Gabba. You can get it from one end to the end, and one end to the other very quickly if you're prepared to keep the ball moving forward by hand and by foot. Good kick there on the left foot by Rayner. He's magnificent skills on both sides of the body.
Yeah, Swans defence all too, but how quickly the ball came down.
I love that that's good craft as well, and structure in the forward line. So Cameron's worked skinny and was looking to get the overlap kick. McLaughlin realised that and then tick lead back up through the corridor to give the ball carrier options.
Got the poncho out, Lynchy.
I'm fumbling for it, looking for an umbrella. It's just started to come down a little heavy.
A little tropical, Lynchy.
Yeah, a little tropical. I might just jump off the microphone for a couple of minutes and go grab the coffees.
It is a shame, given how the velocity this game's being played at the moment. Gardner bangs away to half forward, cleared Archie. Next off the line,
This is playing well.
McCartan, really full charge. And the backup comes from McInerney, also giving them drive. Sheldrick to Goulden. Had to wait till they caught up, and it was Grundy straight towards goal. Andrews protects.
Tommy McCartan's been outstanding in his milestone game.
I can't remember him playing in such an aggressive fashion like that before.
Yeah, spot on.
Oh, that's high in the air. kick for Levi in the main.
Really good play there by Levi to go to the ball. When he knew the contest was coming, just go to the ball, make it harder for the Swans player to be able to intercept.
He was itching to give it back to Zorko then.
Giving him a bit of a slip back.
Yeah. Determined look on the face of Hugh McCluggage.
This is what you face when you become one of the premier ball winners and users in the competition. The opposition aren't in the habit of letting the best players sort of run around unwatched. So it's not Jordan at this particular instance, McInerney, but doing a great job.
Lions though in front by 5 now. It's McInerney that just takes some ground. Ashcroft, Will, Robon, bit of muscle for the Swans. But not so much direction.
Jordan was actually across onto Will Ashcroft at that stoppage, so the 12 touches in the first quarter.
So it
looks like that change has been made. And looks at this same stoppage here again, or this bit of play again. So Jordan tracking Will Ashcroft.
Certainly the hot player out there at the moment. Laurent saw his way through to get the handball. Wicks had back up from Grundy. They're being just pinned back a little though. Wicks trying desperately to go forward. He was going to retreat, but was able to sell it on Hipwood. He's kicked back straight back. This is a real problem. Duday.
Good anticipation there. Yeah, it's fantastic. Just watch the eyes of the kicker. He went early. That's good for his confidence.
A long time in the coming. His debut for the Lions. High kick. Hipwood made the contest against Rampy. He was intent on spoiling anyway. Marshall feeling the heat. Tatoli did well. Hipwood couldn't take the footy. Great tackle from Marshall. Cunningham. Now, that's what I'm going to say to this. There was 3 or 4 of his teammates there.
It was, yeah. It would have been unlucky, I think. He was spun in the tackle.
So you believe there was sufficient intent?
I think there was. Nathan.
Right.
Very mature conversation.
Don't agree, Jonathan.
It's okay. We can all have opinions.
Brisbane by 5. Marshall. Sheldrick just ripped it away out of his hands. Too tall for Levi Ashcroft and then too slippery for Goulden. Cluggage always slipped. What about those electric hands from Will Ashcroft again? Setting that up, and here's Zorko. Wilmot's got a second in mind, and the Gabba has come to life. Does he, does it?
I love how high he stays with the play. Like, sometimes ahead of the play. Clearly that's his licence. He's just ready to go. As soon as they get the release, he's the man in the corridor. They know he's there. Just watch it unfold. Just keep it alive there at the clearance. Just keep spilling the ball out. Eventually Sydney actually win the ball back. But just see Wilmot. When it's time to go, he takes off.
Those hands from Will Ashcroft were mesmerising too, aren't they?
Oh, that was brilliant. The inside to outside of what the Lions do so well, but they've definitely come to play this quarter. 12 inside 50s to 2, 4 goals to zip. Sydney have only kicked at 29%, and every one of their possessions has pretty much been under pressure. So they've really ramped the pressure up, and then the halfbacks get involved. Zorko's had 6, Wilmot 4, and that goal.
Charlie Cameron not kicking as many goals these days. Maybe a bit of Miley Cyrus is going to get the Gabba rocking when Wilmot kicks them like that.
Just balanced up the stoppage as well. So it looks unbalanced, the stoppage. They put Berry to half forward, so he's essentially playing wing, but he'll just play in front of the stoppages now because Sydney putting extra numbers at the back of the stoppage, getting that run through, and that's part of the reason they've had good transition in the first quarter.
5 consecutive goals now to the Lions. Grundy on his way to the Jordan. No means of control. Equal numbers. Fletcher has shown his ability to leap in the last few weeks.
Great contest. I mean, one to give himself a crack at that intercept mark, but then to be hit the ground and get on it as that Sydney player was buzzing through. I'm not sure if it was Warner or not, but if you got through there, the Swans were away.
15-6 on those intercept marks. He's smothered by his own teammate. Not enough when it's the opposition stopping it.
You just see the intensity of the game. We haven't seen back-to-back stoppages like this all game. The pressure on ball has ramped up. The congestion around the contest ramps up again.
Still Ashcroft able to get it forward. Cunningham still work to do. Malikan Seen quite a few backward disposals in this quarter, haven't we, from Sydney?
Yeah, been really well organised, the lines behind the play. Defensively, just switching over.
Blakey.
Yeah, not the player on the mark. They just kept backing away, taking the potential targets away.
Good work from Gardner. Miles Dunkley eventually. And again, the line should be able to get access to the mark. The juggle wasn't quite complete from McLaughlin. Mills found an ally in Grundy, and now the run of Wicks. And there is a clear channel through the middle. McInerney joins in the charge. Wasn't the best of handballs, and that's an understatement for Campbell. And a bit of a standoff with his own teammate in Buller. So the kick ends up but going very wide to Heaney. Is that a free on Dunkley? No. Careful enough when it mattered. Wilmot back to Gardner, and that's too strong. So Campbell will get another opportunity. He's kicked 1-2.
The mark wasn't taken, but that kick from Campbell was a bought. That was there was only about a metre squared area that he could have got the ball for Isaac Heaney to have a shot on it and hit the target pretty easily.
So we've had anatomy, and now we're having some maths.
Yes, mate.
Top of the goal square, Buller. Dunkley, the Marshall, fancy handball, even more fancy kick from Papley, and it wasn't far off.
Just their third inside 50 and their first score for the quarter. So the second score.
Carefully, Sydney. Mines will keep it flicking along.
And they did flick it by foot and by hand. The Ashcrofts, Bailey, Archie getting right up the ground. Morris has got Blakey standing in front of him at the moment.
Just got so many gears, the lines, the way they move the ball. So really fast to get it out of the back 50. Then they started control.
Off to Zorko, was able to catch up and then deliver it to Smith. Setting it up to the square. McLean is back there for the Swans though. Grundy having a rest at the moment. Didn't look like great contact from Lloyd. Buller makes the contest though. Allows Papley to send it down the line towards Warner. If he gets past, he could do anything, but he's just fisted it a bit too strong. And Andrews, Duday, Gardner, Andrews again. Do what they have to do. Steep bounce for Fletcher. Marshall. Another floater, but it's 50. Zorko shows the pain.
Kick there, wasn't it, by Marshall? Good by Duday too. His last couple of contests have been good, so building confidence in his body. Coming forward, we saw he was a bit reluctant in that first quarter, but since then, he's been terrific.
And Zorko's playing game number 298. He doesn't look that well after that. He desperately wants to stay out there.
He'll be fine. He's not giving up a shot at goal ladder. He's going to whack this through post-high.
3 goals, 5 for the season. From the Great Dane.
He was always going to find a way to suck the big ones in to be able to have this shot on goal.
And he was straight into him if he kicks it.
Look at the moment as Zorko comes in. He's hit it. Now he can show the pain just to why he wasn't able to nail a kick. 147 wins, 2 draws and 147 losses in his career. Dane Zorko.
A lot of those came early in his career, the losses.
Yeah.
Turned that around of recent years.
Dean Cox is a player, by the way, 144 wins and 145 losses and 1 draw. Bit of useless trivia for you.
Very good.
Ashcroft with a handball to Rayner.
You got a family,
right bottom.
You got a family, Hunter? He was trying to avoid him this time.
Very lovely family.
Yes, that's right. We love our families, Hunter.
Mills takes it wide. McInerney trying to size up what's on offer inside the 50. The aerial skill of the Brisbane Lions has been on full show today in defence. That's wide, but it's just found Heaney. Talk about finding a small gap. Crowd, of course, are quite confident it was out on the full. If any man can do it off his left boot from here, it is Isaac Heaney. Even a snap of this proportion is not beyond him. It came late, but it's gone through. Just exactly what the Swans wanted and needed from their start.
We've seen some excellent finishing. I mean, that one is the equal of Eric Hibb, which probably didn't hit it quite as well, but it was perfectly executed for...
Didn't have the same boing off the boot.
No, the spud gun didn't happen there. But what a great kick this was. And if that... I don't know, error of parallax, but it looked like it was either on the line or just inside it. And the ump had a pretty good line of sight there behind the mark, but Sydney really needed that. The last 5 minutes, they've just stabilised a little.
Just going forward, Isaac Heaney. He's giving Dunkley. Dunkley's keeping a close watching him, so look to challenge him forward of the ball. Gardner on him now.
McLean wins the tap. Straight to Dunkley. Doesn't get much on the footy. McLean was awkward with the hands to McInerney, but Mills to Goulden and has the space ahead of him. Cunningham. Back again to Goulden. Eyes away to half forward. At the back, Jordan unexpectedly takes the mark. McLean is pushed forward. Reveal.
For the win. He had to get back there to support Harris here as his back. Otherwise, Buller was going to take that mark. Really well organised there. Good supporting of your defence.
7 games this year for 7 wins. He's only played 1 loss and 1 draw in his whole career, Bruce, so he's a lucky charm. Cunningham, though, as they do break down on the way out. Clean little handoff to Mills. Mr. Roper. Good depth on the kick. Buller, Andrews. Patoli stayed up, and now he goes down, and he's penalised. Dunkley tackled with his eyes closed.
Yeah, there's not many blokes that are harder to get away from than Josh Dunkley when he's got you in his sights. Hard to step. Definitely not going to out-strengthen him or out-body him when he gets a hold of you. And the young player will find that out really quickly.
So Harris settles. Targets Dunkley. Buller slowed him, but didn't stop him at getting it further on the line to Levi Ashcroft. Hard run from McCluggage. He turns that down. 2 of the openings through the corridor. Now the Swans have a 3-on-1. Mills safety first approach. Ashes it back to the line. Marshall as the ball stays in. Sheldrick.
We've got a chance here, the Swans. They've got to keep it moving.
Warner, little sidestep. So they had to go lateral, which should allow Brisbane to get back. Bailey, one-on-one against Goulden. That's no mean feat. Back up though from Heaney. Goulden just doesn't quite have his one grab touch at the moment. McLean back to Jordan. Rampy was a usable option. It was almost like, nah, you're a defender. I'm not going to pass to you. Blakey just plays the game on his own terms, in his own time, and he's teasing Smith, takes them away, sends them forward, and Heaney, these Sydney Swans superstars are taking it upon themselves here, aren't they?
Yeah, Duday popped to the front because Heaney was 70 metres away from the kicker, but that's why if you can break the lines and get past that first line of pressure, as Nick Blakey did here, he was able to stand up his direct opponent, get around Smith, and then all of a sudden now Duday's out of position, kicks over his head, drops it in on Heaney's on a dime to Heaney.
For a third goal off the left boot in just that manner. He has perfected it, Isaac Heaney, and he's pretty close to perfect.
It's been a really good response from Sydney. That's Heaney's 11th touch, his 3rd goal. They've been able to wrestle back some ascendancy through that middle of the field, handle the Brisbane Lions' pressure, and be able to find time and space to be able to enter. It's not the end-to-end stuff that we saw in the first quarter, but it's probably a little bit more structured play, a bit more slower play and measured. But when you can get the ball into your best user's hands, then you're going to give yourself more chance of being able to score.
So he'd be relishing no Sarcevic and no Ainsworth out there. Would have been his two opponents, maybe Ryan Lester as well. So it's where the Lions' defence has been challenged. We spoke about that pre-game. Ozzo Kenny making the most of that. He's gone more forward this quarter, Bucks. Played most of the quarter in that first quarter in the midfield. Just looking to expose that or exploit that opportunity down forward.
Lions fans sensing they need a lift. Make a bit of noise as Dunkley sends them on the path to goal. Cunningham maybe could have marked. Lloyd, though, with his strength and experience, works his way through a difficult situation. The handball was attacking, but that's their mode at the moment. And their means is through Goulden and Florence trying to re-establish himself before the season ends. That's a row bottom. Not getting the same centre square time that he has through the season, row bottom. Got a centre bounce last week. McInerney takes the short back to row bottom again. His eighth disposal. It's to Sheldrick. Not a lot of movement. Now there is out of the square. Andrews is the big threat. But Grundy's held on to the mark. Fort's not happy.
That is a big miss. That was an absolute shunt to move Darcy Fort out of the contest there. But I suppose in the end, that was his chance to win the contest. He needed to create that space, take the mark, and then let the umpire make the decision. But I think that was a missed free kick.
And Sydney Swans are certainly not complaining. Darcy Fort is. And they'll feel worse about it if Grundy can convert. 6 goals, 4. He's having a great season, Brody Grundy, but that's not a great shot for goal.
We're talking about Sydney getting the ball in the hands of their best users. Mills has had 10 this quarter, McInerney 8, Henny 7, Goulden 6. So when those guys are getting their hands on the ball, and especially through the middle and inside 50s, they're going to be at their most damaging.
Swans are 3-7 against the top 9 teams this year, beaten Freo twice and the Giants once. They're a different lineup with all their stars back. Fourth man handled again by Grundy. Well done from Warner just to release it to Sheldrick, but umpire said he didn't release it legally.
I thought we were allowed to attempt.
Tackle number 6 for the tackle machine.
I like it when you don't get an effective disposal. I like that free kick.
Carton came at it. Blakey backing backwards, row bottom. Core strength, and he used it to effect. Laurent wanted to get out. Jail claws didn't quite have it. Coming through Reville, puts it down. Pulled it out the back. Down McCartan, and now out to Warner, who's keeping his width when he can. Such a dangerous player out in space. Can't quite make his mind up here, McInerney. Vick's made it up for him. Again, they target that pocket. Grundy's become more of a focus now. Either deliberate or happenstance. There's Rowbottom with the delivery, and again, it's right on the chest of Buller. Just rammed it there.
As Buck spoke about.
Oh, quick hand off to Papley. He doesn't wait for the special comments, man. Maybe you should.
No, come on. Maybe the umpire wasn't ready. That's why he called it back. Why was he allowed to? Maybe he wasn't allowed to have the kick, Papley, because he was standing in the protected zone.
That's it. Time off.
Yeah.
Time on.
Grundy pushing forward hard in this second quarter. He struggled in the first quarter, only one disposal, but changed his game up this second quarter. Clearly a directional change, a quarter time with the coaches.
Yes, recovering more territory. Prepared to use him going forward. So Jack Buller has been so important with the injuries they've had in the forward line, and they still have. He toils out. Buller out to seize all the opportunities in front of goal, and is a prime example. And some of the locals think that's just fantastic.
That's an ineffective kick, but they've kicked it 80% since Wilmot kicked that goal, the fourth goal of the this quarter for the Lions. And Sydney have kicked the last 2. They've had 7 inside 50s to 5. They've doubled Brisbane's possessions in that time and owned field positions for the most part. So it's been a great response from the Swans. after the Lions dominated the first half of this quarter.
Look at those numbers in the last 10 minutes. Swans dominating possession, field possession, and the opportunities to score. Zorko on the hunt. Was it in the back? It was.
It is. There's feedback there.
But this is what you do when you win enough of the ball in contests and you use it well enough. You put the back six under pressure. You first force the opposition midfielders have to roll back. All of a sudden, Zorko's playing off his heels instead of off his toes.
Again, an impatient Sydney Swans. Maybe should have taken a bit more care and a bit more time.
Just not as much end-to-end this quarter either. The game's totally changed, totally flipped.
It's been a quarter of two halves as well, hasn't it?
Yep.
All on really complicated mats. Fletcher fires it away. There's Grundy prepared to put himself in the firing line again. Malikan, Archie, whatever he can do to try and get it forward. Sometimes you can't. Warner, always that threat. There's enough depth at the back. He's going to kick a fourth. Remember the Sydney Swans at their best. Their superstars are unforgettable. Isaac Heaney has 4 goals. And they may not be featuring in September, but boy, they're going to influence who plays finals and where.
And when Sydney are playing their best, this bloke is playing his best. Warner breaking out of space and finds, just a little bit more distance. And then Isaac Heaney just reads the play so well. Gone forward more, as Brandy said, in this quarter. And he's been able to kick the 3 goals in this quarter, 4 for the match. He's been huge. He's definitely exercising the demons from his Gabba hoodoo. Hasn't been a happy hunting ground for him, but I think 12 touches and 4 goals and a half will go a long way to cleansing that.
Grundy, is there time for either team here? Warner going the wrong way. Magnificent tackle from Reina. So it's Brisbane that gets the last shot. It's a monster of a kick and a siren before Morris, good start of opportunities in the second quarter, was able to latch on, and the Swans in self-congratulatory mode, and that is fair enough because Brisbane were able to kick the first 4 goals of the quarter and get the lead back. But the Sydney Swans response was so impressive. It was a 3-goal consecutive performance by the Swans. And they lead by 9. So Brisbane, we know they've had such a tough draw. Doesn't stop. Need to win 1, maybe 2 to get double chance. Fremantle next week's going to be a massive Friday night. And then round 24 against Hawthorn. That could decide the double chance for good. That's coming up.
All right, folks, there we go. Half-time, 8-7, 55, the Swans. 7-4-46, the Brisbane Lions. Tell you what, just when it looked like the Brisbane Lions were going to tear this game apart, putting on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals. Sydney hit back hard with 1, 2, 3 goals. Regained the lead at half-time. The Swans putting on 3 goals, 4 in that second term. 4 goals, 1. The Brisbane Lions. I tell you what, both teams playing really good. It's got that little bit of a finals feeling about it, even though Sydney out of the top 8. Brisbane, well, they are they're hunting top spot. Hey, Teddy, how you going? What's happening? What's going on there? Go Swans, keep my multi alive. I tell you what, I was thinking about a multi today with, oh my gosh, where is it? I was thinking about a multi today with Sydney, Carlton, Port, and Western Bulldogs. I was thinking about that, but I didn't get on. There we go, Santa All. But anyway, we're cheering on yours. There's the live ladder for Addy G. Of course, Brisbane's still there in 4th position. If they were leading, they'd be on top. Tell you what, there you go. There's a live ladder for you. Your Fremantle are still sitting there. So that means, Eddie G, if you beat Port Adelaide, you go to 60 points. You'll go to fourth. Freo will be fourth if Brisbane lose. Freo win. Oh, can't believe it. Can you believe it? Freo will be up there. Hey, let's have a look at the goal scorers. Isaac Heaney, wowee, 4 goals, 1. 4 goals, 1 up until half time. He's having a ball burster of a game with his 12 disposals. Darcy, the rest of the Sydney goal scorers, Chad Warner, Sheldrick, Braden Campbell, Jack Buller, the other single goal scorers. For Brisbane, Darcy Wilmot and Logan Morris, couple each. Will McLaughlin, Eric Hipwood, Josh Dunkley, all single goal scorers to them. All right. Green Labs, how you going? Swans can score at least 33 more points, I'm hoping. I tell you what, I don't see why they can't. They're playing pretty good football today. Their form's certainly picking up. And, of course, some of their stars are shining as well. However, half-time disposal getters, the Magnets, Josh Dunkley on 20, Will Ashcroft 18, Zorko 16. So the big guns are firing for both sides here. Errol Goulden for the Swans on 16, Callum Mills on 15. The Chad, he's up to 14 already. Isaac Heaney already on 12. Couple of clearances, 4 goals, 1. So the big guns are firing for both sides there, which is fantastic to see. I tell you what, when they fire, the big guns, you know you're in for a good game, and that's exactly what we have got right now. Of course, Tom Papley, he had a snap, missed, point, 6 disposals. Wait until he gets his little, beak into the mix. Tell you what, he could fire up the Swans as well if he gets aboard. But, of course, Isaac Heaney doing the damage down forward for the Swans so far. There you play stats. Hey, let's have a little bit of a look at the team stats. It's actually the Swans plus 40 in the disposal count up until half time. Inside 50s, 34 for the Brisbane Lions, 11 scoring shots. So about 1 in 3 they're scoring. Sydney Swans, 25 inside 50s, 15 scoring shots. I tell you what, they're dangerous when they go inside forward 50 are the Swans. Their efficiency is pretty good at 74, 68% efficiency inside 50. Well, you can just about thank your mother for the Rabbits there. 8 free kicks apiece. There we go. Looking at the hit out, Sydney Swans there, plus 3. The Lions still in front in the clearances, 20-13. 10-6 in the centre, 10-7 around the ground. Contested possession, Swannies going in hard, 66-48. Uncontested there, plus 29 there. I want to have a look at this tackle count here. That's a big number up until half-time for the Swans. 10 marks inside their forward 50. Wow, that's impressive. Just a 5 so far to Brisbane. Tackle count, both low on both sides. And they probably just can't. Transitioning from both teams are pretty slick from end to end. 18 tackles apiece. Sure, we'll see that up there. Brisbane have had 2 inside 50 tackles. Sydney Swans yet to lay a tackle inside 50. They need to get on board with that. Hey, all right, let's just head back down to the commentators. They'll give us a little bit of a wrap-up on the opening half.
50. The Swans were able to move the ball at 66% of the time, so very successful. And they were kick to handball ratio is 1.2, so a lot of handball, and that was the big change that the Brisbane Lions early in that second had to turn around. Yeah, I did. I thought Tom McCartan's been fantastic in his, you just see the Warner there. Tom McCartan's been fantastic behind the ball to help that. He's come forward, he's made a really strong presence and been able to bounce off the back of him. Now, the host plus performance of the first half is that man there, Isaac Heaney. He's put on a clinic, especially late, kicking 4 goals. He had 12 disposals, spent a fair bit of time in the midfield, but started to ease himself forward and did some really damage on the scoreboard. Yeah, Josh Dunkley was starting to watch him closely and just hadn't been able to break the shackles. Then went forward halfway through that second quarter and pretty much stayed as a permanent forward. He's kicked the 4 goals. His left foot snapping, I think that's his opposite foot. Yeah. He's as good as anyone in the competition, no doubt about it. Does not look like missing. He's a star. He was fantastic and played an important role when the Brisbane Lions looked like they were starting to get on top. A man that was very good for the Brisbane Lions, especially in the first quarter, was Will Ashcroft. Played exceedingly well. He was that good in the first quarter. He had the 12 touches. James Jordan had to go to him, but he was very impressive in that first half.
He did, yeah. And Jordan done a good job on McCluggage early, but yeah, it was just the hot hand, wasn't he? So he's the Lockie Neal Mark II, isn't he? Those numbers are outstanding. His hands are as good as anyone in the competition, no doubt about it. So he's the one that's able to create that sort of flow on play. He gets the 1-2s and gets the play rolling, doesn't he? He helps their gear change the Lions. When I talk about that, they're different modes, the way they move the ball, Lynchy. 1 minute they're going really fast, then a couple of seconds later they'll just change it, they'll back it off a little bit, and quite often Will Ashcroft is at the centre of that. It's amazing. We speak about the maturity of Logan Morris. Will Ashcroft's amazing as well, isn't he, for a young man?
There's a bit of talent on screen there. Hutto, the Brisbane Lions looked pretty good in that second quarter, but beautifully answered by the Sydney Swans.
It really was. Can't wait for the second half. That's coming up shortly, but after the break. We'll get the fallout from last night for the Bombers and their Friday night affair against the Cats.
What makes a big arch so good? Is it big, juicy beef, crispy onion, or is it the melty cheese smothered in Big Arch sauce? It's everything. New Big Arch for Big Macca's hunger.
How's your dream team? Any traits? Why would I? Got reliability, value, flexibility. Oh, and I got really good dental. Jealous? What?
All right, folks, we'll be back with the commentators in just a moment. Stand by, stand by.
Picture perfect day in Melbourne for our Super Saturday Live opener at the MCG. The late, great Shane Warne would have been looking down with a big grin on his face at this point in time. Nasiah Wanganeen-Millera not far from the Shane Warne stand with a bit of spin to go rather. The Tigers, though, this game went down to the wire. The Tigers had a shot to win in the final minutes. Richmond hunting win number 6. Jack had tipped them, but unfortunately at this point, Camden McIntosh was keen for running it too far. It allowed the Saints to hold on in front of 41,000 at the MCG. It was St Kilda's 8th win of the season and 3rd on the trot. A perfect way to salute skipper Jack Steele's 200th game. This is Super Saturday Live, brought to you by Toyota. Don't send a ute to do a Hilux job. David King, Jack Rewalt, Jay Clark, you look like you want to say something, but I'm going to go straight to Kingy first.
Camden, count your steps.
Kingy, your thoughts on the game?
Look, I think if Richmond wanted to win that game, Adam Uze would have taken the Nasiah Wanganeen-Millera tag a bit more seriously. I'm not sure he was absolutely prioritising the victory today.
That's a big call.
We'll discuss it later.
Okay.
Interesting. Play North next week too, so.
I think we need to flesh that out a little bit more later on, but we've got some news to get to, so take it away.
Yeah, Essendon's Dylan Shield expect him to be suspended for that push, which injured his teammate, Luaman Lual. This is uncharted territory. We've never seen this before. So he pushes Marco Connor, and he cannons into Lual. Now, I've gone deep into the rules here, and it says players owe a duty of care to all players, not just opponents. It is all players. And the AFL hate those sort of pushing into marking territory, marking contests, so expect him to be suspended and play out of the tribunal maybe 1 or 2 weeks.
So Dylan Shield could be out. Zach Merritt as well?
Yeah, so fractured hand, may need surgery. The next couple of days, hopefully only misses the one game, which delays his 250th match, happening in the 3rd quarter, I think.
So the Bombers take on the Saints next Friday night. So what about finally, just before we go, the Demons? They've lost a key contender today in their search for a new coach.
Yeah, former Sydney coach John Longmire's ruled himself out, not interested in jumping back into coaching at this stage. That puts Nathan Buckley squarely in the Demons' frame.
We've got a lot to discuss in the debrief. You've questioned whether Richmond were trying to win. You've got all the news, Jay Clark. And then we've also got 2 more games coming your way tonight. It's a Saturday night doubleheader in Melbourne. It is Carlton hosting Gold Coast under the lid at Marvel Stadium, or you can flick over to Channel 503 from Adelaide Oval. This Ken Hinkley, Travis Boak farewell tour really begins now. They take on Fremantle. A must-win game for the Dockers if they're to play finals.
and bouncing off it and scoring. And the other thing is, I think our tackling game, we've about 18 tackles at about 40-odd%, so that's not good enough. We need to lift.
Any adjustments around? They're obviously coming into a game plan with the handballing a lot.
We just got to come forward, not retreat. That fuels that sort of game. So we've probably been on the back of our heels and running backwards. We've got to come forward.
Any adjustments on Heaney when he pushes forward at all?
Well, he's kicked 4 goals, hasn't he? Yeah. So, well, we had a bloke lined up to pick him up, and that's not getting done, Lynchy. So we talked about that as well. We understood that's what he was doing before the game, but somehow or other he's got lost in transition. So we've got to do a better job with that.
No worries. Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
Right, he's got some issues, hasn't he, the premiership coach, Chris Fagan, and with some of the stars of the Sydney Swans that are playing some great football. That's no surprise.
Yeah, not ideal that Starcevich is late scratching before the game. He would have been the man that picked him up when he went forward, Isaac Heaney. It's a real problem, mate. 4 goals in the first half. They need to clamp that.
Third quarters have been the strength of the Brisbane Lions this year, 14-6. We saw that in evidence last Saturday night against Collingwood. Freddie Grundy contained in the first quarter, but was a big factor as they hit back. And Brisbane took the lead at one stage. So Jordan's gone to Zorko outside the square, at least at the opening bounce here of the third quarter. High scoring affair despite the weather.
That'll be Heaney starting in the middle and going forward, Hutto, and then Jordan will come and pick his mark after that.
Rayner just, Dunkley, Archie, clean hands and was given a bit of latitude to turn and find Rayner. That was all a little easy.
Yeah, Rayner started on Callum Mills. We saw them pushing and shoving at the before the first bounce in that quarter. Rayner's pressure was huge, especially in that early stage of the second quarter, which gave the Lions some ascendancy. He is a big moments player. He'll enjoy having this opportunity early in the third.
As we mentioned, he was asked to lift by his coach at halftime last week. 6 disposals without hitting the scoreboard so far tonight. It's right in front of him, the goals. Easier said than done. It's a tight thing, but it's just off.
Didn't blast through that ball, just tentatively kicked at it.
Tried to guide it, Brownie. Yeah, yes. So 2 touches early, though. That's maybe he's been asked for the same thing this week, Hutto.
Yeah. Courage in that, and there's flight in that magnificent mark by Heaney. What a star, and his kick is long to the middle. Now it's Warner's turn. Everywhere you look, there is a superstar Swan, and they are turning it on. From one end to the other in a flash.
I'll tell you what, that kick looked like it was going to be turned over, the one that went to Isaac Heaney, and Dunkley's not a small body. Heaney knew that he was coming, got such a great ride on him, just shin across the shoulder, and Dunkley's momentum gave him an extra little bit of lift. Good contest there from McLean to bring it to ground, and the guns of the Sydney Swans step up end to end for the first goal of the third.
Thanks, mate.
Another quick transition, one end of the ground to the other. The Swans really on show, especially in the first quarter. It's a problem for the Lions at the moment.
Second goal for Chad Warner, and the 4th in a row for the Swans.
It's 9 of 20. 20 times they've been able to rebound. They've gone inside 59 times. That's 1 in 2. Normally the competition's 1 in 5.
In a game of sequences, with the goal kicking, momentum a big factor. The pluggage to Rayner.
Vision's amazing.
It's a longer shot. Smith, Cameron, pitching up, wasn't too far off the mark. Rampy handles it well. It's a sky ball. Fletcher, bit of ringer-rosie with Campbell, who now receives. Can put a bit of pace on with a couple of bounces. Takes them on, waits for the moment to come inside, and he gets it right. McInerney was reluctant initially. He played the waiting game to good effect. So Jordan has pulled it back in the square.
When Sydney do move that ball quickly off the back, they're finding a lot of space in their front half.
Heaney again, but he can't get over the top of Harris Andrews.
Aaron Gould moved half forward as well, so you're going to have to really watch that.
Back with me, guys. Darcy, right out, please.
Oh, it's a free kick to Heaney. But he is going to kick his 5th goal. We'll wait for the replay, which will show you after the goal. It's another snap coming out. This is pretty simple by his standards. And the Brisbane Lions crowd is aghast. Isaac Heaney kicks his 5th.
He's had some big games this year, but I don't know if he's going to have any bigger than this. Your 5th, couple of minutes into the 3rd quarter. He's had the 14 touches and he's just looking really dangerous. You see here Wilmot, who's actually holding Heaney down from competing. And that is absolutely there. It's a good get by the field umpire, the adjudicating umpire, to see that.
Well, Darcy Wilmot had just said him sit on his teammate's shoulders, Josh Dunkley's.
And that's what happens when you can win the ball from anywhere, and you put the opposition, your direct opponents to the sword, because, you know, these blokes so damaged. You can win it from anywhere. I've got to maybe bend the rules a little to have it in our favour, but on that occasion, free kick against them, 5 goals.
7th time he's kicked 5. 3rd time this year. Hasn't gone better than that. Dunkley. Brisbane had to get moving. McCartan, it's a big turning circle, but he did it with good effect. Kick was brave. Got the bounce for Sheldrick. Heaney shut down this time by Dunkley. To Ashcroft, to Wilmot. They had enough of the handballs yet. When's the kick coming? McCluggage plays it wide for Cameron. Time for him to have an impact.
Yeah, he's second disposal, Charlie. He's off at the moment, so desperately needed that. Need to hear John Denver ringing around the Gabba just to get him going and get the whole crowd going back into this game.
Floater again from the side. Grundy. Andrews. Rayner. Is that a fraction high from Rankit? Nope.
He didn't deliberately lower his body. He actually slipped. So there might have been grounds for a high tackle there, but don't mind that ball up call.
Sydney with their biggest lead of the game, 20 points. Sheldrick up to the wing. Can they get beyond? Ball is vigorous. And do they? Too much set.
Well, inside though, get a missed tackle there with Darcy Fort. Something Chris Fagan concerned about, clearly put on the agenda at half-time.
Getting it out wide. Ashcroft to McCluggage. Slow and methodical. Tosses it up, hoping that maybe Fort or Dunkley could have got a run at it.
Fort back since quarter time, Brady Grundy.
We needed to, Granny. Only the one touch. Ford had done really well. It's been a very different game since quarter time. More stoppages, less transition.
Sydney by 20. Grundy. Will Ashcroft. Creative hands again from Batoli. High ball baller up inside the 50. Campbell couldn't get access in the air. Gardner comes away for Brisbane. Plays it wide for McLaughlin. Even wider still to Berry. Bit by bit, Brisbane. Bit of stability here. Archie.
They've been good. The Swans have been better since halfway through the second quarter, just restricting the flow the Lions can generate from these uncontested marks. So, yes, they are still getting a high number, but they just can't get moving back into fast play.
Continue to chain them up, but they haven't quite breached the centre line yet. This kick from Cameron, no, that goes backwards as well.
Yeah, really well organised. Sydney Swans as a whole, the team defence has been terrific. Communication's high, a lot of pointing, a lot of directing.
Gardner. Low-risk kicks at the moment. It's going to rise with each kick from here. To Rayner.
This is the old Brisbane.
This is the Brisbane putting their practice out onto the field on a Saturday. Banged long, and Mulligan has a free kick already. To Grundy. Wicks. Snuggle pass to Flop.
Just shows you what Sydney were able to do late in that second quarter. Brisbane were trying to go fast, but then that sped up Sydney's transition and turnover, scoring 6-6 in that first half.
Ankle numbers in the air. Warner skipping on through.
It's been good. Chad Warner is looking lively at ground ball, just killing Brisbane at ground ball.
McInerney, skate across half-back. Cunningham, a lot of liberties there. Out wide for Rampy.
Sydney nearly plus 20 at ground ball. As Fagan spoke about it at half-time.
No obvious long target down the line. Now Rampy takes his chances anyway. Heaney to the front. Gardner with the spoil. Ashcroft already looking as to where he could deliver the ball. And he just was able to get it past the line of Swans players. The second line was Wicks and Warner. Goulden. Florent. Stand start from Lloyd to the square. Heaney at the front. He can still be dangerous. Oh, Andrews just. Yes. Just. Off to Zorko. Wilmot to Ashcroft and now Rayner. And they are goal side here with Morris. Cameron pacing back to goal. He had McLaughlin. He had a bounce. He did not get that worked out. What was in his head was not able to be transferred.
Just a little bit doubt creeping into the lines. That was their best transition until it wasn't. Logan Morris just got them down.
Look across the field, Brandy. Sydney are doing what they're doing well is numbering off. They're man-on-man hard. When as soon as Brisbane's slow, then
lock in, buddy.
Couple of guns side by side. They're prepared to go hard man-on-man, which is slowing Brisbane down a little bit. But when Brisbane do get through that first line of pressure, then the space opens up.
McInerney makes the good choice. Found Heaney. They creep around the boundary or over it.
And I think also, Bucks, Sydney are spreading really well from the contest. So obviously the ground ball has been a massive asset, but they've been able to get out into space quicker than Brisbane.
Makes the kick off into the middle. Not easy there for Hipwood. There's a bit of hanging on from Hipwood on Malikan. Goes unspotted. Awkward. In there for Goulden, and now the difficulties with Sheldrick.
What you're talking about there, Lynchy, is what we've known of the Sydney Swans when they're at their best. They're very good in the contest. They're the fastest to go from offence to defence and vice versa. That's the old school Bloods culture where you're prepared to outwork their opposition.
Yep.
Heaney feeding it to the inside to Wicks. Sheldrick off the left. It's a loopy ball. Florent fully committed. And takes the mark within range. He's told immediately by his teammates to go back and take the shot.
And this kick worked.
He's had an indifferent season, Ollie Florent. Started at half-back and not quite there. He's moved up onto the wing laterally.
Was in the reserves there for a period.
Yeah, let's sharpen up. Just the 1-6 this season. You want to finish effectively here.
It'll be a great personal boost for Ollie Florent and a magnificent lift for his teammates.
Have a look at the Bunnings build-up here. As you said, Brownie, a missed kick at the end, but Swans just cleaner at ground level. That feedback hands, change of angles, which we've seen a lot. And Sheldrick there not quite nailing it, but Florent back with the flight. Levi Ashcroft unable to bring that to ground. A couple of cracks at it there from Lloyd, but Swans just a little bit cleaner and been able to go forward 3 goals to zip this quarter.
It's been a tough year for Ollie Florent. As we said, demoted to the VFL. He's made sub initially, in and out of the team. Back last week, didn't have his best game, but what a boost for him there.
Kicked the last 6.
Yeah.
It's the last 3, the second, the first 3 here. That's the Lions need to answer now.
Smith, Rayner, storming out of the middle. Didn't quite put it to the advantage of Hipwood. Malikan just played what came his way, and didn't he play it to Florent? Planted the foot, just like Sydney had planted the flag today. Wicks, kick was too short. Cunningham, now to Florent. Midway through this third term, they have full control of the footy and the scoreboard. Papley, a bounce, trying to work it through from here. Heaney up quiet. The Lizard wanted to get in the act. McInerney instead. There's Swans everywhere.
It is. The defenders from Sydney have been outstanding. So we've spoken a lot about McCartan. Malikin's been good. Kick goes in.
It does go into Rowbottom.
Yeah, too much space. So a lot of space in the corridor there for the Swans when they brought it back through. So defensive breakdown starting to happen here now from the Brisbane Lions. Sydney are picking them apart there too easily. Rowbottom ends up in the middle of three Brisbane Lions defenders.
Still at 22 tackles to 20 for the game. Now, that's a really low tackle game, even though we saw more clearances in the second quarter. It's actually a low clearance game, high transition, and the Swans are controlling it both in offence and defence.
This looks simple, but everyone knows nothing is easy. It is straight through. And Brisbane don't appear to have an answer to this Sydney Storm.
Now, that's 7 in a row, and it's now 8 goals, 6 from turnover to 4 goals 4. So such an important stat, the ability to control transition, to own it, to be able to score when you've got the ball in hand and be able to defend when the opposition do in transition. And Sydney have been twice as good at this aspect of the game from a scoring perspective than the Lions have. So they are well and truly on top. It's ask the question of this Lions team and their leadership. What are we going to do in the next 5?
Yeah. So Rowbottom ends up with the ball. So Tom Judo comes into the side. Doesn't have the connection yet with his fellow defenders there. Doesn't hand over. Miscommunication. Rowbottom ends up on his own 20 metres out from goal.
He's kicked his first. They have Swans goal kickers led, of course, by Isaac Heaney. Bailey takes the advantage. Sydney kicks 7 in a row. Brisbane's answer is at behind from by Ashcroft.
That's just a sloppy handle, though. If that hits Levi, he has 2 or 3 extra steps to steady up and kick that goal.
What a stunning performance this is from the Sydney Swans. Rampy to McLean. Bailey trying to find a way. Smith. Great agility from Cameron, but there's a whistle. Free kick going to Lloyd. Rowbottom. Still a long time to play in this third quarter. Being able to take the crowd out of it largely. Waller with the fly, Berry with the hands. Straight to Tolley. Fletcher to Marshall, and then Boudet to Berry. All getting further away from goal. Zorko tries to take the kick, but Rowbottom. Levi Ashcroft, the spin from Hipwood, losing his balance, but happy to get the handball away. But again, comes to nothing. Warner taking on everyone. Smith hands it off, almost literally to reveal. Yep.
Yeah, good call.
Swans are particularly kind of better than Brisbane are, Bucks.
Yeah. Their man referenced taking away the next most likely option, and the Lions just haven't been able to get that overlap play often enough. They got it early in the second quarter, and that's when they looked the most dangerous. But yeah, for the most part, Sydney have controlled this transition.
So Ollie Florent, he only kicked 1 goal 6 in his 13 games this year coming in. He's nailed 1, now he's got a chance to kick another. Extraordinarily, this would be 8 consecutive Sydney goals.
In that where you missed that one, in that run of 7 goals, Sydney have only had 18 insides to 13. The Lions haven't been able to kick a goal. From those 13 insides, they've only scored 3 points. So they're defending their D50 really well, Sydney, and Brisbane just can't do the same on the other way.
They can't get out here. And a disruption. They're hunting the Lions, but they can't stop the Swans, and it's Goulden's kick quite as precise as it needed to be. Gardner made trouble for Wilmot. Rowbottom. The effort is incredible from the Swans. They're breaking tackles. They're giving fancy handballs over the top. That didn't quite hit the mark from Tapley.
That's creative. They're trying to create something from nothing now. The Lions' pressure ramped up then, but Sydney was still able to flick the ball around to give themselves a look, and they now own field position still.
Marshall. Long target, and he tries to hit on the bounce to McLaughlin, so he has success. Paces away from Gouldley, wants help. Got it now from Rampy. Good ground gain down to Cameron. You see how outnumbered he is. And banging up, Cunningham, Wicks. Carlton's kick is just fine.
That back six well on top. So that's 14 insides for just 3 points since Wilmot kicked that goal halfway through the second quarter. The Sydney back six are dominating the Lions front six at the moment.
Yeah, they're well organised.
Wicks to Rampy. Into Mills. Carlton again. Warren. Heaney. They can't get near them. Blakey. Campbell. Now there's some protection. Reville takes the ball.
See that? That was a backwards kick there by Reville. Couldn't access the corridor. Sydney blocked it off well.
Good circle work at the moment. Back into the middle. It's a more direct path. Rayner belts it deep. Ashcroft in from the side. Big Darcy fought. And free rein. Ashcroft. Rampy. Ashcroft with all his composure. Some Ashcroft there from Levi. That might get them going.
He didn't realise Rampy had snuck up on him too. He thought he was out there on his own. You're right, Hutto, though. He had the composure. They desperately needed that. So can they string 2 or 3 together now to get back into this game? Sydney are just all over them. So they go back to go forward eventually. Brave kick there by McCluggage. So often we see McCluggage is the man that starts the play. He's the one with the vision. Not a great kick by Rayner, but it's 2v1 nonetheless. Good work there. Good finish by Ashcroft.
Back to a more manageable 26 points. And ends the run of 7 goals. The way this game is going with it, the sequences and goals on end, who knows? Maybe Brisbane is still well and truly in this.
Yeah, it's been that style of game, you're right.
When he disposes for Levi Ashcroft. Suddenly the senses are heightened a little bit more back in the middle. McCluggage trying to turn away with the footy, but again it goes Sydney's way. Florent trying to bust the tackle. McCluggage's had other ideas. Now it's Marshall storming forward. Archie. Suddenly the Swans defence working overtime. Henry Smith, just you wait. Oh, what a snap.
McCluggage, all that inbox.
How good. How good's that? You know, so often you think it's going to come from a Dunkley or a Lockie Neal or a Cam Rayner. Hugh McCluggage has been known as a smooth, moving, clean user, but here, not quite be able to win. But that contest, that tackle, excellent. I mean, that's great leadership. And then to be able to, Smith, who hasn't won many contests today, but took his chance there, that was so important.
That's what you need from your leaders, don't you? 6 moments when the team needs it, need to stand up. So McCluggage goes that inside kick that leads to the previous goal by Ashcroft. Then lays an enormous tackle to go back-to-back goals. The Lions need to create momentum on the back of this. Dean Cox with a look of concern.
It looks like Sydney Swans have made the sub, clearing into the game to Tolly out.
Thank you, Lynchy. Back in the middle. McInerney about to storm forward. The whistle had gone and no advantage.
And it appears that's a tactical sub as well.
Grundy just heaves it forward. McLean versus Andrews. McLean was exactly that.
I loved it how he launched at the ball. Just came out. Andrews went looking for body. He just went at the ball. He went at the ball there. McLean, great mark.
So that asset of being able to take those sort of clunks against, one of the strongest body players, intercept players in Harris Andrews, that's worth its weight in gold.
Very high, 27 goals last year. Has 21 goals, 10 in his 16 games. Very rarely goes for a game without kicking a goal.
That goes after the kick, you put the cursor in, wasn't it? So,
And the Brisbane Lions have made their sub now. Will McLaughlin has come out of the game. Dev Robinson in tactical as well.
Thank you, Lynchy. So rare opportunity for Dev Robinson. His 4th of the season. So Zorko stepping through to good effect to Archie. So a little bit more poise and confidence about Brisbane. Marshall, change direction, change gears. Kicks to half forward. Handled by Morris. Rayner calling for it at centre half forward. He just wants to kick it as long as he can. Mills flies everywhere at the back. Rampy.
That's going to be it.
It's a very easy decision. Nice welcome by the crowd.
Well, is he as good as Isaac Heaney on the left foot, Jared Berry?
Very few players are. It's a bit of an unfair question.
Was he taking note?
7 goals, 5 for the season. Gun 180 for Jared Berry. Been there for most of the journey, or all of the journey really, with Chris Fagan.
He's going the banana. His eyes are darting around. And none of his teammates are working for him.
It's the right state for a banana bender, isn't it? But it's hit the post.
I don't see the banana as much anymore, do you? Obviously not today. Isaac Heaney's mastered that left foot snap.
And Eric Hipwood on the right.
Yeah. I just need one more before three-quarter time to go in full of energy, the Brisbane Lions.
Rampy, perfect through the air. But McLean's in good marking form, doesn't quite hold on to that. Being able to feed it back to Lloyd.
That sounded like a little bit of a barrack, from Brennan.
Oh,
Just need one more. Just need one more before three-quarter time.
He's just taking the point of view of both sets of supporters.
When it becomes state of origin, Nathan, you can be very patriotic. Sorry, all the Sydney supporters out there.
Given you don't even come from Queensland, really.
No, that's right. I've been here longer than I was in Victoria.
You still know half of Victoria. They're all connected to your dad somehow. Anyway, Duday. Off on the march. Brisbane still seeking more nourishment late in the quarter. Grundy holding that.
Made a good fight back, Grundy.
Last 3 minutes of fascinating third quarter. High ball, eyes on it all the way, Andrews. Nicely trapped though. Campbell missed the target initially, but Sheldrick getting better and better. Good service for Papley. Got a man on his own in the goal square, and it's Jordan who's going to leap. Can't hang on to the mark, and Zorko. His teammates go to him so quickly.
Great effort, wasn't it? Yeah. James Jordan had about 10 metres over the back. He had to really put the afterburners on there. Dane Zorko, even at 35.
21 points the margin. Grundy, little handoff. It's all Brisbane underneath. Bailey. Rampy really gets forward. Brisbane away. Greenlit to go. Ashcroft further afield to Archie. Hipwood continues on with the pace. Awkward off the right boot, but he's not quite feeling it with that kick. Mills. Didn't go to tackling. And then Rampy loses it. Circled by Lyons. McCluggage. Strength of body and mind from Berry. Same applies for Bailey. Pushed off 2 tackles. Kicked it to Rayner. These medium-sized Brisbane guns. Threat to any team. Morris. McCartan has challenged him and will again in the air. The thrust and parry. Robertson comes through.
Logan Morris was complaining about the non-free kick there. I think he might have had grounds of that. There was a fair bit of physicality from McCartan to be able to bring that to ground. Might have been over the shoulder, but you're not going to get them all come your way. But that was a true one-on-one contest.
Yeah, just a call there for the umpire with the boundary. A friend to McInerney.
It feels like the boundary. Isaac Heaney's pacing up and down in front of the interchange bench. He's been on the pine for an extended period. Can't get back on.
Might be too late for him now. This third quarter. 5 goals. Equal career high. Cluckage. Lions searching desperately. Berry out the back. Bailey, if anyone can. Seemed like no one can though from that kick. Wasn't easy with the weight going the other way.
McCluggage has been outstanding this quarter for the Lions. He's dragged them back into the game. 10 disposals.
Mills just places it. Duday with the fist. Almost dragged the mark down in the end. Grundy.
I just feel like when the game gets in this sort of balance, every contest becomes crucial. Guys that are winning aerial contests or ground level balls here and breaking the play becomes so important.
Berry, creep a little closer. Awkward for Dunkley, and then Robertson. Same fade again. Back over the boundary line.
Good effort by Sydney around the ball. So they've been beaten 6-1 from centre clearances this quarter. However, they've scored 4 goals to 2. So they're on the back foot from a territory point of view out of those centre bounces, which here at the Gabba can be a dangerous issue, but they've been able to cover it up well.
What's going on in that ruck contest? There's no whistle. We're on the afters. Berry found a way to squeeze a handball out to Wilmot. What go time for Zorko. Gardner's got a good side of the rest of the field. It's clogged up with Swans, so short. McCluggage. It was pure. Goes to Bailey, and that's why you can't count the Lions out. They have so many avenues to goal, and this is one of them, Zach Bailey.
Yeah, I think 3 X-Factor players for the Lions. The playmakers, McCluggage, Rayner and Bailey, all had big quarters. So McCluggage had 12, Rayner's had 9, Bailey coming up for 8.
Hasn't kicked a goal so far. 27 in the season. His kicking at goal has been a bit patchy through the years. Certainly had a run where he's been a little wonky, but right now it needs to be better than that.
He's looking up, like a golf shot, Bucks. Looking up to see where the ball's going.
There's a couple of shots on the quarter-time siren and the three-quarter-time siren they haven't been able to finish, but the intensity's back in the contest. They're close enough. It'll be a fascinating last quarter.
It most certainly will. So much on the line for Chris Fagan if he wants to finish top 2 again. Up next, as we know, those top sides can't afford to slip up against the bottom 9, and it's the Gold Coast Suns on the road against the Blues. Can't wait for that tonight. Super Saturday continues.
All right, there we go, 3/4 time. The Swans extending their lead, 12-9-81. The Lions 9-7-61. Just when we thought the Lions were starting a comeback, the Swans, well, they said no. 2 goals, 3. The Brisbane Lions in that third term. Sydney Swans, 4 goals, 2. Absolutely fantastic. I tell you what, both teams looking good in parts. Sydney, however, looked far and away the better side on the day today. I tell you what, Brisbane Lions could be ruining the fact that they missed 2 shots after the siren, both missing the goals for Behoints, giving themselves 10 points. Well, they should have had extra, but didn't get. It's a big, honestly, out of Hawks and Adelaide, I would have thought if you only beat one of them, the Hawks would have been more likely. Yeah, look, I would have thought so too, but my God, the Pies are just playing horrendous. There's no question, I think they're, look, unless a miracle comes, I think they're just about out of it. Their form has gone woeful. You know what? It's a little bit like Brisbane. Brisbane were on fire, you know, going back a few rounds ago, a little bit like Collingwood, but their form has just tapered off. They just don't seem to have that link-up connection, that confidence. They just both seem to be lacking it, and you can see that a little bit in the Brisbane Lions game today. Sydney just well on top. I tell you what, this is the best I think we've seen Sydney play for a long time. They put 3 quarters together, Sydney. Can they do it for 4? That's the big question. We know the Brisbane Lions. How much this game means to the Brisbane Lions today, of course, top spot is on the agenda for the Lions as we keep looking back. 58, they're only 2 points, half a game off top spot. Brisbane Lions, this could all come down to this quarter where the Brisbane Lion gets a home final and end up on top of the ladder at the end of the year with 2 rounds to go. That is for sure and certain. Let's just have a look at the goal scorers. Isaac Heaney. Thank you, mother for the rabbits. He's kicked 5 goals, 1 Isaac Heaney with 18 disposals. He is having a ring-a-ding-ding game, the Chad. He's kicked a couple. Sheldrick, Rowbottom, Florent, Campbell, Buller. Singles for the Swans. Of course, for Brizzy Lions, Wilmot's kicked a couple with Logan Morris. Henry Smith has got one. McLaughlin, Hipwood, Dunkley, singles with Levi Ashcroft as well. Tell you what, the scoring shots, absolutely. It tells the tale, doesn't it? 21 scoring shots to 16, only 5 the difference. You know what, we should have a look. We'll have a quick look at the top disposal getters, then we'll just have a look at the inside 50s, because both teams seem to be getting plenty of opportunity. The top six out of the top 7 possession getters are all from Brisbane. But I tell you what, Sydney just seemed to be so clean and slick in that third term. Tell you what, they look more like a top 4 side than a side sitting in around about 10th position. Will Ashcroft tops the table with 26, Dunkley 25, McCluggage, hey Bags, you're on 21, Zorko 20, Agnes Sheldrick tops the table for Sydney on 20, with Chad Warner 19 with a couple goals. So good to see the Chad doing well. Sometimes his forms have been a little bit off, and him and Isaac Heaney only come into the game in the final quarter. But Isaac Heaney, 18 disposals as well, 3 clearances, 5 goals, 1 absolute ripper. Cam Rayner looked reasonably good in that third term without really, how do I say it, affecting the game. But he did look like he could open the game up a little bit there. He had 14 touches, 3 clearances for him as well. Just want to have a quick look at the, if I get back to it, let me get back to it. Just want to have a look at the inside 50s for both sides. There we go. Of course, Brisbane Lions, they've had more of the inside 50. They've had 48 inside 50s, Brisbane Lions. So the Sydney defence is doing extremely well. 38 inside, that is just brilliant. 38 inside 50s for the Swans, 21 scoring shots. As I said, Brisbane Lions, 48 inside 50s for 16 scoring shots. There we go. Just want to have a quick look at this. Free kick count, there we go, 14 to 11. Just want to have a quick look. I just want to quickly roll down here, folks. Marks inside 50, Sydney, brilliant, 15. Just a tackle count, there we go, 31-28. 4 inside tackles for Brisbane, just the 1 for Sydney. Want to see that lift a little bit, though. All right, that's enough for me. Let's get back down to the action. Hey, can the Lions come back? 20-point deficit. We're about to find out. Let's head back down to the bounce for the final quarter.
Margin. And a beautiful bounce. Grundy wins it, but fought with a follow-up to McCluggage. First play to Brisbane, but second to the Swans, Blakey. What a versatile player he is.
10 contested marks to 4. The Swans.
Lateral exit here. Melican. Breaking clear when it mattered was Buller. Didn't take the mark and so suffered the consequences. It was a rushed handball to Papley. Worked out just fine. McLean and Andrews continued that duel. And Jordan knew what he was doing.
Just on the contested mark. So Blakey's taken 3. So Sydney Swans' taller defender's been outstanding today. Tom McCartney in his 150th, well supported by Malikan, Rampy, Nick Blakey there. So Brisbane's key forwards need to get going. Morris has kicked a couple, but hasn't had much of an influence. Eric Hipwood's been very quiet as well, as is Smith.
Dunkley is the one that breaks through and gets the clearing kick. It's tall on Blakey. Agility from Hipwood. Ashcroft finds Rayner. Crowd get a little more animated and excited. And that continues with the play to Berry. I'm trying to man the mark, but Berry just ignored it and banged it long. Cameron, and the footy had a mind of its own, but McCartan's mindset was superb. Charlie's going to argue the case. Now it's 50 for that argument.
He's had dog of the day. 3 disposals, Charlie Cameron.
And this was what he was able to do for free himself.
Eyes on the ball. That's nearly frontal contact without taking eyes off the ball.
Blakey intruding forward. And the mongrel off the boot.
You just mentioned the back 6 of Sydney, Brandy. It's the first time they've been up, or the first time they've had any continuity in that back half and been able to get their back group together. It makes a massive difference to the way that you want to set up the rest of your game. It's been very positive, obviously, tonight.
Yeah, I sense some confidence just talking to the Sydney coach before the game. because of that, they did mention that, the stability of the back six.
Lions came from 15 points down in this game last year. There were some similarities with it. It was the Lions on occasion to kick the first 5 goals of the game. A game of momentum. As I said, they've won the last 5, falling the grand final most obviously. Levi Ashcroft probing deep ball. McCartan, no marks, so fires it out. Is this Charlie's moment?
Jeez, that would have been one of the best he's kicked.
His goal average is the lowest of his career.
Hasn't even been around to put pressure on much today.
Rampy, some purity in that kick as well. There's Cleary, the sub. Can he make an impact? We can by handing it off to Heaney. Smooth as ever. Papley with the fly. Defensive mode.
Sorry, I know some days Charlie can see Dean Cox there just getting the directions down there, a little bit frustrated, the big fella. His team's playing so well, he doesn't want to cough this game up. But yeah, Charlie Cameron, just sometimes you see him getting heavily involved defensively and the tackle part of the game, but even today, he hasn't even had a tackle. Only 3 disposals.
Sydney might 20, Heaney. Jordan was leading with the shoulder, trying to draw the contact high. Ashcroft to Dunkley. Zorka, there's no-go zone, so back he goes again. Dunkley heaves it out of there. The congestion, Melican can't mark. Warner shakes off anything that came his way, and the danger rises, and the placement was absolutely picture perfect for Sheldrick.
Terrific again by Melican there. Didn't take the mark, but just out of position. There's McInerney, just comes off the ground. It's continual that same theme we've been talking about. They've just dominated the airways ahead of the ball. Brisbane can't win a contest. Sydney's key defenders have brought it to ground, and then Sydney's mids have been able to tidy up at ground level.
Already has a goal to his name today, Angus Sheldrick. He's given this absolutely everything. Still just fallen short. What's needed.
Chad Warner's speed and his power at ground level, he just can find just enough space to be able to find the best option. It's a tremendous asset to have.
Speaking of best options, the Lions are off to the races here. Quick kick from Bailey. Now the chase is on. Cunningham on those old legs. He's trying to find a way to fumble it. Realised he couldn't. Feeding it back to McCartan, and now Jordan. Gets that kick about right. The bullet doesn't mark. He does win the fight.
You said Charlie's been quiet, and he has, Brandy, but geez, the supply to him is pretty average.
God. Horrible.
To Sheldrick, rushes clear. Heaney was central. He wants to go long to Grundy, who's got either the goals or a handball in his sights. He can do it himself, Brody Grundy. And they're going to take some catching now.
They would have withstood a little bit of the Lions' challenge to kick this first goal in the last quarter was significant. Give themselves a shot at redeeming or being able to enforce this dominance that they've had in transition. And once again, it's the end-to-end stuff. Brody Grundy probably sliding down as that ruckman and putting his direct opponent to task. That's a great kick there to get over the top.
Go Sydney. And Bucks, once again, we saw, Fakes spoke about it at half-time, missed tackles on centre wing, so it just opens up. McInerney's just come back onto the ground. He's going to give this a go. He's got a heavily strapped right knee, and he's not convincing at this stage, but he's going to give it a crack.
It's a bit of an anomaly, but Sydney is still at 149 pressure, so they haven't, largely they've done it through contests and offence. Their pressure on the Lions hasn't been great. In direct pressure, but just ground position and being able to dominate that.
Lions hit back through Zach Bailey. Again, just a little astray. Gee, we've seen the ball zing around from one end to the other, haven't we, today?
Yeah, low pressure game. And then Sydney been better at keeping off than Brisbane have, which is unusual.
Yeah, they've got more numbers to the ground level contest, haven't they?
Yeah, tried to keep it nice and tight. Cleary, set Wicks up for a fall, a crunch. Levi prods it forward, getting a little closer. Archie, Morris, Elkins all over him.
We were talking about, the way the game's been played. Brisbane are plus 16 in clearance, but that hasn't reflected anywhere on the way the game's been played.
Amazing, isn't it, that number?
They've had double the clearances that Sydney have had.
So well behind in ground ball. As Chris Fagan identified, it was one of their major problems. Lloyd, you see off the lines again here. Goulden, indecisive is what method he was going to use. Settled on Lloyd, skidding ball, hard to contain for Duday. Buller and Heaney, robot them as they roll forward. Spearing ball on the bounce, hard one to trap. Got away from Campbell. Wilmot, they go straight to attacking mode. Fires it into Cameron. He could still have a say in this. Right for Dev Robertson. And then on to Archie. Logan Morris stays on the move, but there was no connection at all.
Yeah, it's really broken down. They've been a bit confused because the Sydney defence has been outstanding. A really good connection, good spacing between each other. Very rarely you've seen two Sydney defenders go to the one Brisbane forward.
One goal through 9 minutes in this final term, and importantly, it's been a Sydney goal. Good though.
The break glass in cases of emergencies happened, and Dane Zorko's gone forward.
Probably number though. No matter who's forward, but John Coleman kicks like that.
And
chance.
Justin McInerney's just once again linked from the ground. I think he's done.
Thanks, Alistair. Here's Grundy. Frustrating for McInerney. Set made a little early with Patola, the young man in his second game. Here's Cleary. Here's the man that came on. Back to Warner. The onus is now really on Brisbane to win the ball back, so Sydney don't have to do anything silly. Depth on the kick. And there's Harris Andrews. Intercepted it very deep in defence.
7 intercept marks now for Harris Andrews.
So if they can do it left or right. Cameron trying to lift here. Heaney though, hard man to counter, especially with his ally Warner. Florence kick, falls short. Reveal back to Zorko again. Assaulted by Campbell.
Pressure hasn't been high for Sydney, number-wise Bucks, but they've been physical with their tackling. And they've had the opportunity.
On the move again through Ashcroft and Wilmot. Sold it well, drew them. There's time for a bounce. Inventive. Crafty little kick to Archie. Advertising the lack of left foot.
Well, he looks like a straight up and down player. He runs straight lines. He's very direct. He's evasive. You know, he's not unlike Chad Warner, and that kick was not unlike Chad Warner to hit the outside of the boot. But when you've got that sort of power and that speed, it just opens up the options available to you when you need to find a target.
Picked the match winner in this game last year.
That's the Lions have had 10 more inside 50s, 56 to 11 to 45. So more clearances, more inside 50. It's just they haven't been as effective in their forward 50s as Sydney have, and they've been well beaten when the ball's gone in their D50, the Lions.
Wakey. Clean, right in the air.
This stuff too. Ball coming to ground. Sydney have just been first there every time.
Cover from Lloyd. Sense there was a way to move forward. Robot and the reflexes are good. Jordan is skating along that boundary. Goulden to McLean to Buller. Brilliant build-up. And Florent versus Ashcroft. Got back, slowed them, didn't stop them.
That's the...
He's riding his hard, Dan Cox.
As you would, he'd be loving what he's seeing. You don't want to give a sucker an even break there. You're getting some really good looks.
Some of the best footy they've played this year. It's taken a while to get their lineup back together. The midfield and their back six looks really solid.
And still without Hayward and Marty and McDonald.
Yeah, all the injuries in the front half. Yeah, they've looked outstanding today.
There he goes to McCarthy. Rashes it deep. It's going to fall a bit short than expected. Smith in the juggle, Papley, Fletcher. He had no one to go to. He made quite a good call there. It was almost for our opportunity, but not quite. 10 minutes remaining. Stony silence at the moment from the Gabba crowd. Bit of whack-a-mole in there. Heaney didn't make the contact he was after. In fact, didn't make any contact. Or a fumble from Levi. So the kick is disrupted in flight. Cleary, but straight to Fletcher, to Robertson. McCluggage, even he was full of indecision.
Organised behind the ball, Sydney again. That's why the indecision came. Normally he's a player that's very decisive here, McCluggage.
So they had the extra 50 metres from Hugh, so he just pulled the kick. Didn't want to go long.
And he falls it wide to Jordan. Clock will become an issue soon enough. Into the last 10 minutes now. McCartan. Deep goes the kick. Ahandra in prime position. Doesn't mark. Stays alive for Sheldrick. And another near hit rather than near miss.
11 scoring opportunities.
Oh, Sheldrick. What was that kick in? Straight to Cleary. And he's re-gifted it straight back. Another behind. Have another go.
Sorry, scoring involvement, Sheldrick. So very big influence. 25 disposals. In one of his better games as a young midfielder.
We saw on that occasion when the ball came in long, Harris Andrews going to market again. Buller was behind him and able to spoil it. It was probably the better starting point against such a class interceptor.
Speaking of class, Blakey intercepts it and puts it on the chest of Cleary. So some of the lower profile Sydney players here have had opportunities to shoot for goal. And Hayden Cleary is one of those.
You can't underestimate the importance of
Hands it off to Blakey, but that won't be allowed.
this game and the next two to Brisbane. Like this,
Absolutely. There's no guarantees for them in terms of double chance.
But this is double chance, and like the look on Chris Fagan's face is exactly that. Like this is they're being well beaten. It's not as if they don't have anything to play for. There's huge stakes at hand here, and the Sydney have just been able to hold the Lions at bay. Been able to control this game, control this contest. They look dominant at the moment.
Hayden Cleary, 1 goal, 7 for the season. And there's 1 goal 8 after the earlier miss. If there's ever a time to straighten up.
Yep. Well, if you actually look at it, if Gold Coast wins tonight, and they play Essendon in that extra game at the end of the year, if you give them that game, they're ahead of Brisbane on the ladder. So, that's how precarious a position now the Lions are in. Obviously, Collingwood have got themselves into as well.
There's some big superstars in the stadium today, like Isaac Heaney and Buddy Franklin, but I think we have a winner. Gout, Australian and world sprinting sensation. Great to have him in the house. Buddy and Lockie playing second fiddle up there.
There would Carl Hooker go chasing Gout down the wing of the MCG.
I don't reckon it'll look any different.
That's a bit harsh. Gold Cows just sitting home watching the footy.
Shout out to Carl. He had a crack. Most blokes wouldn't have even kept going.
I would have given up. I think she would have been in hospital.
I would just grab the hammy, just go on down.
All I could do with Lockie Neal in this final term, but he's a spectator like all of us. Searching for answers, searching for a way forward. Sydney have left the door ajar, though, ever so slightly. Rayner, can he start something? Zorko, they won't die wondering, but not going to get anywhere with handballs like that. Gulden gets it in quickly. Doesn't quite get through to Buller. Wilmot to Fletcher. Takes the ground to Ashcroft. Out wide to Robertson. Here comes Hipwood. On the turn. Oh, it's just good for Logan Morris. Just.
And McCartan's really dominated that contest. I mean, to have 57 inside 50s and to have that weight of possession and to keep Logan Morris just to the one touch. This is his second touch. So that's a fair effort by McCartan. He's been dominant. But this is an important shot at goal for the Lions.
Hasn't been easy in front of goals for either team at times today. There's the set shot numbers. Logan Morris has achieved so much in his short career, but he can't nail that. It just feels like it's not Chris Fagan's day. Got ahead of the ledger last week with that win on the road. In fact, they've been almost better on the road than they have been at home at times.
Yeah, they lose tonight. It's 4 losses here at the Gabba.
Of course, makes that.
Yeah, they did. Collingwood early in the year, Easter Thursday.
Yeah. Andrews to Gardner back through the middle. Berry as Campbell gave him a way to creep a little further forward. Morris, just a mini win. Zorko to make them pay. Berry wins the moment. Robertson.
Just great close down pressure there, and that the number's still at 150 for Sydney, but it seems that at the key moments they are able to close and put some physical pressure on the last kick when it matters most, and Brisbane haven't been able to finish. Much like the Swans in this quarter, mind you.
Yeah. 1 goal, 5-4 behind. Morris again. Better angle, obviously. A little more distance to negotiate here. Clock's a factor now. They need 5 goals. 5.5 minutes. David Morris. And such a pivotal role in the defence of the Brisbane Premiership before his time. With traits like that, cool, calm, and collects the third. There is still a pulse that's rippling around the Gabba.
Yeah, it's a pulse. It's life support pulse, but it's a pulse nonetheless. They need to get a centre bounce straight out and take a mark. So Logan Morrison's, look, he's kicked 3. He's had a quietish game though, ahead of the ball like his other key forwards. Just haven't had much space at all. Tom McCartan's done a fantastic job, and that's a quick forward half turnover. Just a speculator inside 50. He's a beautiful set shot for goal.
2 goals against the Swans in that memorable grand final performance as a teenager. He actually dropped the overtime he was for this corresponding game last year. I don't think that'll happen again.
I think so.
All right, 5 minutes remaining. It's a 5-minute warning for the Sydney Swans. Brisbane are close enough, but they've got to lay a glove on Warner. Goulden made the job a little easy, didn't he?
Oh, he came in behind.
50 against Bauer.
Oh, no.
Is it a double?
It didn't. Oh, jeez.
It is 100.
Did Gardner? Did he tap that out of Gardner's? No, I think it's a double.
He has.
No, it's 100.
Yeah, 100. They won't get there as fast as Gout with the 100, but they'll be wanting to get there as soon as they can, because this makes it very interesting.
It's a bit of immaturity and inexperience there, but it definitely fuels the Lions' comeback.
Round, of course, is an experienced defender, but he has spent some time forward this year. Kicked 4 goals in 1 game, and he channels that. Darcy Gardner, but he just can't get it online. Back you go. Wow, what a mess. What a gift. One goal, 5 each in this last quarter.
Both teams have had their chances.
Float from the side. And Andrews, handball, with a whisper. And Marshall, happy to play it back. Take some ground soon. Wilmot tries to plot that path to Fletcher. Got Dev Robertson moving one way.
Gee, Grundy hasn't moved. He got hammered in that marking contest from Darcy Gardner. They'll stop the game here. Yeah, so the physio's out there with the doctor, and they're just assessing him, but he has not moved. Moved his right hand, and that's about it.
He went down at training at one stage with the Pies, and had to be taken to the hospital with his neck. So, and they're holding him in that position now as we have a look at the contest. It looks like it's maybe a bit of a stinger. He was moving his hands as if he got a little bit of a nerve shoot down there, so it might have been a stinger through the shoulder.
Now.
As long as he didn't
That's
look like
great
he hit
sign.
the head.
Nah,
That's great. So he's up, walking from the ground.
that's great. Great vision. For me, given that I've seen him in that position before and it didn't end as well, so some big hits. Big fella's been in great form.
He has. Back in live play, though. Fletcher. He's out of free. Big call one way or the other. Rona. Unpopular, unwhistle.
Yeah, that's why the whistle on that one.
He's right there, the umpire.
Yeah.
Tell you what it was. It was really solid defence, like on the lead. Right up his ginger.
3 minutes 37. And they're 3 and a bit. Warner, Zorko, on the spin, Fletcher, Ashcroft. Look for the high contact.
The umpire's all over it.
Take a little ginger. McLean down to Jordan. For McCluggage. They need a grab. Oh, Eric.
Yeah, he's bad.
He has. He's kicked a great goal earlier today, but they need more than that from their experienced spearhead. Closing in on 200 games, Eric Hipwood. The majority of his goals this year in a 3-game hot streak. A big letdown for the Gabba crowd. Not even a behind, which potentially could have been handy.
The hardest thing for a forward. When your teammates start missing, the pressure builds, it compounds. Just wasn't able to survive that pressure. They desperately needed it then. That was their chance. Now Sydney has the opportunity just to take some seconds off the clock.
Yeah, with each passing second, it's a little more and more unlikely. Florent to Rampy.
There's four scoring opportunities. You're going to kick 4 goals. It's not going to happen in 2 minutes. The Swans have been fantastic. They really have. Despite Brisbane owning field position, despite them winning clearances quite convincingly, despite Brisbane having more tackles, Sydney have just been more effective in transition. They've been great at ground level. They've been able to run in waves together, and they've defended really well in their back 50. Their back 6 have stood up extremely well.
Brisbane throwing more numbers forward here. Right, trying to roll the dice. At least they even up the numbers the Swans have put behind to make a contest. Andrews, but they're a long, long way from home. Fletcher without the ball. Cleary. Buller. Goulden. Hassled by Berry, fighting all the way to the death. Rowbottom trying to just draw a stoppage. That'll do.
Well, the 3v1 that you saw there with Sydney was a result of the Lions rolling, trying to get an extra forward to the ball.
Free kick to Berry out of that. The last quarter from Errol.
for a smart player, Errol does some silly things.
The Swans ahead of the ledger at 11 wins and 10 losses in what has been a disappointing season. Cluggage on the bounce. Good for Eric at that time. Cunningham off to Blakey. Rashing it. Sky high goes the kick. Courage from Wicks. Contest from Berry. McCluggage to Zorko. Just scrapes out of that one. Ashcroft to McCluggage. Through to Hipwood, now to Rona, one more to Bailey. No time to waste. Puts it through finally. They're able to hit a target. Is it too little, too late?
It's all say 50 seconds, isn't it? So they get through there that time. But actually look at the overall total of the game, Bucks, and the way Sydney have been able to move the ball. It's always a problem coming into the game with the Lions because their defence has been weakened. So Leicester out No, Ainsworth is injured a few weeks ago. Brandon Starswich was late scratching. Jack Payne's not there. He did his ACL earlier in the year. So the pressure's not on upfield. There's an opportunity today to potentially expose some holes in their defence, and that's what happened.
You're also talking about a forward line that has been vaunted and expected. It's a nice take. Well done, mate. Kept his eye on the ball, took the second grab, but that's 62 inside 50s, Brisbane. 63 inside 50s. And only been able to kick 11 goals.
Yeah, sorry, Bucks. And both teams have got a number of players that didn't play in that grand final. The Sydney Swans have got 6 non-grand final players, and the Lions 8.
McCluggage fires it in. Archie. Oh, hello. Kick another quick one.
That was good.
All right, yep. Bailey has to just go back and kick it. Does it put them within 8?
Collingwood supporters will be screaming at the TV, getting that free kick. That happened last week.
And so many of the supporters of other teams barracking hard for the Swans. They're getting a little nervous too. Bailey puts it through. 18 seconds. Surely not.
From Chris Fagan, I'm that annoyed. I'm that annoyed. This is one that they might well rue when they look back at it. But that's probably, it's taking credit away from Sydney because they've been excellent. But the closer the Lions get here, the more annoyed they'll be in the view. So you're going to win the game for the Lions. They just want to score, and Sydney going to save the game. They've got a wingman that's rolled back. He's going to drop into position. Cleary, I think.
15 seconds. Has to be pure. Ashcroft. Oh, the line. Archie. You're saying there's a chance. Pandemonium returns to the Gabba.
Crazy.
This is nuts, and we love it. This is our great game. That's why we can't take our eyes off it.
Not making the distance from 40, and then the bounce of the ball.
Just when you thought it was safe.
To go back in the water.
Could they get a 6-6-6 call in the middle? Don't do that. Maz is not playing. 4 seconds. Is there physically time?
No free kicks.
Those that have left have come back. 4, 3, 2, 1. The Swans hang on. Nothing can make up for the pain of a grand final loss, but making life difficult for the team that inflicted those wounds will have to do. A win for the Swans and for Dean Cox, and the Lions' top 4 chances are now skating on thin ice.
What a bizarre finish. And you're right, Chris Fagan will be ruining that. And well done to the Swans players. That's the best they've played this season, Bucks. Probably should have won by a fair bit more at the end.
Yeah, they played very well. They at the same time they allowed 65 inside 50s against. So the Lions definitely helped them along in that regard. The lack of connection, but then as we said, you know, McCartan had to play out of his skin. Mills played really well. Rampy was excellent. So the back 6 really stood up and played magnificently to be able to, you know, keep a heavy scoring team.
I thought that right.
Yeah, particularly those 3 goals late, 11 goals for the most part across the ground, across the game from 62 or 63 inside 50s. That was a magnificent performance from their back 6.
It really was. Let's go down to one of the stars who caused it all, Lynchy.
Thanks. It wasn't me that was the star. It was this man here.
I
Isaac. He 5 goals, mate, but it came down to the wire.
Yeah, it was good. We also lost a few, and boys ran to the pump, but we stuck strong and stuck with the process, and we actually moved the ball really well. We got over to scramble really well, and like they're a tough side. They like to control the footy, so we had to try and shut that out. But it's probably one RFI is our slow play defence with them, so they probably chipped around us a bit too much. But all in all, bloody good effort up here.
Well, you said you stuck to the process. Tell us about that transition out of D50, especially in the first half. Your ability to move the ball by hand seemed like it was just a bit of an evolution of your plan.
Absolutely. It was get back, get numbers back, and always show up. It was like show up to the contest as many as we can, then use the numbers rather than bombing it deep. They're a very good inset marking team, and it's probably where we've let ourselves down throughout the season. So to get back and then use the numbers and go through them was something that we did really well. And I think it's absorbing with the footy, but also being clean with it, and like I said, showing up for each other.
And tell us about your defence worked well. You're probably well down on inside 50s conceded, but your back 6, back 7 were exceptional tonight.
We touched on that at half time. It was they played the percentages really well. It was like big spoils, get it out of there, and don't let them go to work. They do scramble really well, especially in their forward 50 ground balls is really high. So if we can kind of get it outside of that initial bubble, we know we get numbers back and help support, and they did that all night. And you see some big spoils for some key players back there, so it was good.
You mentioned the Lions ground balls. You were well up certainly at half time and for the majority of the game. Was that a focus? Do you talk about that during the week?
Absolutely, yeah. They're really, I mean, they're good all over the park, really. But we knew we had to match it in that area, and that'd help us get back in support, which would then help our ball movement going forward. So it was definitely a focus.
Is there an element of this was a great win, probably your best win of the year, but it's frustrating at the same time? Absolutely, yeah, real frustrating. I was close to a 4-quarter performance that, especially up here. It's always tough coming up here and a hostile crowd. They're always extremely good. But there's an element of frustration knowing that we can play really good footy and match it with some of the best. They're arguably up there with the best. So it is, but I mean, our 2026 season starts now, and we're building on our game plan, and we'll take this into the next 2 weeks against another very quality side in Geelong. So we'll build for next year. And tell us about your own role. Try and get Tom McCartan in. We'll get him in for an interview. We haven't done many with him, but tell us about your own role. Your starting point was in the centre circle, but certainly through that third quarter, you were just bolting forward and predominantly playing as a forward.
Yeah, last few weeks, let a few boys go through the midfield, but do a bit of CB and then spit forward. And I'm crook as a dog at the moment, so I woke up feeling shocking, and it's kind of see how I could go and just go sit a bit deeper forward, so I haven't run as much as well. But got an end of a few, which was nice.
Yeah, you certainly did. Well, I tell you what, before you go, tell us a little bit about this man that celebrated game 150 today and what he means to you.
He's one of the most respected players at the club, I think. He's going to scrap, he's going to do the basics extremely well, and like I said earlier, he led the way in our defensive sort of spoils and marks, and he always plays in the best, the key forward. So he's a special man, and he's been amazing for us. He at times probably goes a bit reckless in the air, leads with his head, but he's unbelievable and a real pillar for us down there, and we love him. 150, hopefully another 150 to go.
Let's hope so. Congratulations on your performance and the win. We'll have a chat to Tommy. Tommy, congratulations, mate. That's an outstanding milestone. You must feel pretty proud, not only the result tonight, but 150 games.
Yeah, thanks, Lynchy. I feel very lucky to be landed at a great club like Sydney, and it's gone my way to be able to play 150, and as I said, just feel very lucky to be at this great club.
A special moment pre-game, your brother presented your jumper and showed you. It must have been a special one for not only him and you, but the family. Yeah,
got a bit emotional actually. He spoke very well, and I look back at the time I played with him, and don't take it for granted. It was so special, and miss having him out there, but I was lucky enough for him to present the jersey. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a magic moment that you got to play so much footy with him. Could have been a lot more, but that would have been a special moment to reflect on as well.
Yeah, obviously didn't work out, but we got to play full season here in a grand final, which obviously didn't work out on the day, but those memories will cherish forever. And he's doing well now, which is he's happy and healthy, which is the main thing. So
it looks like that back line stood up beautifully tonight. You're well down on inside 50s, and you defended really well. It looked like your back 6, back 7 was working as well as you have all year.
Yeah, I thought our balance of defending hard, but also defensive run, get back to ground balls and outnumber, and exploit when we get the ball. So I thought our balance was really good tonight. So keep building on that next year, hopefully.
Outstanding performance. I better let you go. It looks like your teammates are over there to at least chair you or guide you off the ground, but not going up. No, get up there.
Thanks, Richie. Cheers, mate.
You are watching Super Saturday Live, brought to you by Toyota. Don't send a ute to do a Hilux job. David King, Jack Rewalt, Jay Clark. Redo your ladder predictors. There's been a twist in the tail. Brisbane, they have dropped an important game at home with tough matches to come against Fremantle and Hawthorn, whilst this Sydney resurgence just continues. What a win at the Gabba.
Yeah, it is a massive win for Sydney. It begs the question for Dean Cox, what would happen if he had Goulden and Mills fit for the whole year? Where would the Swans be off the back of losing the grand final last year? Where would they have finished this year? But for Brisbane, the fallout's huge, and it's struggling to decipher what the true Brisbane looks like. Obviously, a huge win last week against Collingwood, then they served this up, and it really puts the back end of this season in jeopardy for Brisbane.
And some encouraging pictures there of Brodie Grundy. Kathy just saw him up and looking well, so he came from the ground with 5 minutes remaining after that nasty-looking head contact. So walk from the ground, but you just saw then him looking pretty good. So he'll undergo a concussion assessment, but that was encouraging.
Smashed in the coach's box today. Smashed. And we've sung the praises of Chris Fagan, but the rope-a-dope, slingshot footy, Swans get numbers back, link and go at speed. So that's been the discussion. How do you get Brisbane? How do you get Collingwood? How do you get the good teams? When you're a good team for a period of time at the top of the table, you get picked apart. Teams are now trying to go quick and capture these guys locked in one-on-ones or get out the back. And that's exactly what they did today. So full credit to Dean Cox. Look how excited he is. Absolutely pumped.
He's pretty happy to have Isaac Heaney, isn't he, at his disposal. 5 goals today and a 2-point victory at the Gabba. Let's listen to the song.
All right, there we go. Game, set, match. Sydney calls a boil over up there at the Gabba. 13-14, 92. Brisbane Lions 13-12, 90. It was the Sydney Swans by 2 points. Of course, I tell you what. Yeah, look, Brisbane made a little bit of a run back in that final quarter, but look, Sydney deserved to win that. They were the better team on the day throughout, I thought, and it looked like in play. Although Brisbane probably did win a lot of the stats there. Don't forget, I tell you what, Brisbane was after the first quarter and the third quarter, they had shots after the siren directly in front, both shots missing. Well, it could have cost them victory. Could have cost them victory. You never know the way it runs out, DM King. Sitting second is still good. Freo win, Bulldogs lose. Freo in the finals. Addy G, good luck. New coach exactly for Melbourne tomorrow. I tell you what, it's going to be very interesting. I know they had a good win last week, but gee whiz, the Bulldogs. Mind you, there's been a few upsets so far. They might continue. Sydney Swans just too good. I tell you what, in that final quarter, both teams, they just didn't want to kick goals until Brisbane kicked that late 3. Sydney putting on 1 goal, 5. Brisbane, 4 goals, 5. Tell you what, they came home late. Bang! What happened to Brisbane's biggest upset of the year? Tell you whatever, strong. Sydney were just too good. Brisbane were left wondering a little bit. They just didn't seem to have that confidence in the 3 quarters. They got their confidence back in the final 8 minutes of the game where they came on strong. They've still got a fair bit of work to do, have Brisbane finals. The only thing I can say is Brisbane, the finals coming up, no matter where they sit, in the top 8 in the finals, they know how to play finals. They've got finals experience. They're good in the finals. I think you'll see Brisbane lift definitely come finals time. Maybe the Magpies as well, because those 2 teams are certainly on the ropes at the moment. So it's going to be really, really interesting. You've got some sort of informed teams in the top 8. There's probably a couple of teams that are more likely than not to take out the flag at this point in time. Adelaide's probably got to be the hot favourite to win the flag, but then you've got the experienced sides not going as well, but have got that great experience and they know how to play finals and pressure football when they get to it. So it's going to be really, really interesting, and especially the last couple of rounds to go after this week's round to see where everyone sits, who they're going to play. But M. King, you're right. I tell you what, you wouldn't want to be playing Adelaide in the first week of the finals, going over there Tell you what, you just never know. Hey, let's just have a recap on the goal scorers. Top goal scorer out there was for Sydney, and of course Isaac Heaney did the job with 5 goals, one fantastic effort from him. Chad Warner ended up with 2. Sheldrick, Rowbottom, Brodie Grundy, Florent, Campbell, Buller, all singles for Sydney. For the Brisbane Lions, Logan Morris ended up topping their table with 3 goals, 1. Darcy Wilmot, Zach Bailey with 2, and singles to Henry Smith, McLaughlin, Hipwood, Josh Dunkley, Levi Ashcroft, and Calamachi. Freo 4th if we win. I know, can you believe it? Santa all 4. Hey, don't forget about, we'll have a look at the ladder in just a moment. Top of the table, Josh Dunkley, Will Ashcroft for the Brizzy Lions, both with 31. Hugh McCluggage, hey, Bags, don't forget your luggage, 30. They were the only 3 players, top 30 disposals today in today's game. Eric Goulden for the Swans was the best for them on 29. And, of course, Chad Warner, 26. Isaac Heaney, 23. So really good from all the guns today. Of course, Dane Zorko, 28 there for Brisbane. He had a pretty good game as well. Nick Blakey ended up with 20. Who else have we got there? Jared Berry for the Lions ended up with 19. Cam Rayner, just the 18. He had a fair bit of the ball, but not a great deal of impact. 4 clearances for him, just the 1 behind. Eric Hipwood could only manage 1 there for the Lions with his 16 touches, 11 kicks. Brodie Grundy went off the ground early, had a bit of a twinge as he went up for a marking contest, so they just took him off precautionary, but he walked off the ground seemingly okay. 14 touches for the big man, 28 hit-outs, 2 clearances, 1 goal, 1 was reasonably okay today. Tom Papley, there we go. He tried his best. He had 10 touches. He couldn't hit a major. There we go. All right, there are your possession getters. Logan Morris, as I said, for the Lions. 3 goals, 1 off his 6 disposals, 6 kicks, 6 marks today. Charlie Cameron, again, out of form. 6 disposals, couldn't hit the scoreboard just with the 1 behind. Just having a look at the team stats, pretty tight. It was just Sydney plus 10 in the disposal count. Overall in today's match, Brisbane Lions having the better of the kicks, plus 30, but plus 40 handballs to Sydney. Looking at the inside 50s, Brisbane did have the better of that today. They were 65 inside 50s. Sydney only 52, so they were plus 13. But Sydney still got the job done well. The disposal efficiency, pretty good. I tell you what, Sydney was super clean with the ball today. They just looked brilliant. Brilliant, absolutely clean. Connecting up well, had that wave going, the run going. Pinpointed their targets well. They look good. Free kicks, look, it was pretty good today. 15-17. Umpires kept their whistle away. Another game that was reasonably well umpired, I thought. Hit-outs, Sydney was there plus 8, but the clearances, Brisbane absolutely spanked Sydney in the clearances, which is unusual. 39-22, plus 17. Centre clearances, 20-9. Got the hand on the ball, first touch, plus 11. Brisbane Lions, plus 6 around the stoppage clearances. Pretty well contested game today, as the commentators were saying there, Eddie. 119-104, Sydney plus 15, uncontested. There we go, it was only 2 the difference there. Turnovers, Brisbane a little bit high than Sydney. They were plus 9 on the turnovers. The marks, there we go, Brisbane there, plus 40. I'll refrain that, plus 30. But Sydney hit their targets so much better inside 50. They were plus 8, 18-10, plus 8. So they did really well there. Sydney a little bit stronger in the air, plus 3, 10-7 in the contested marks. I tell you what, though, the teams, they do need to, especially Brisbane, no matter how good you are, your tackle count, it needs to be up. You need to be putting pressure on your sides. Super low tackle count today for both teams, and I'm sure the Brisbane Lion coach will certainly have a look at that and review that. Not just the tackles, but the tackles that stick. Sydney breaking a few tackles there, 42-34, low on both accounts, as was the tackles inside 50 for both teams. Only 4 to the Brisbane Lions, but only 1 to Sydney. All right, let's have a look at the live ladder as it stands. Brisbane Lions. Well, there we go. They remain in 4th position now. They had a chance if they could win this game. They would have gone top of the ladder. There we go, top of the tower, but couldn't get the job done into fourth. A big chance of falling back even further. Sydney, of course, jump up to 10th position. There we go. They're 3 games out. Actually, I don't know whether that's reloaded. Let me just double check that. There we go. That's better. Brisbane still down there in fourth. And of course, Sydney up there on 44 points. 2 games out of the 8, but percentage will certainly stop them from making it. Even though it's mathematical possible, it just won't happen. But fantastic. As Isaac Heaney said, 2026 season starts now. They're getting everything working, game plans running, and they can execute that plan for the next couple of weeks and go into 2026 with a bit of confidence. Was the Sydney Swans, but very dangerous now. Very, very dangerous for the Sydney Swans. Of course, Carlton will play Gold Coast Suns. If Gold Coast Suns win that, they'll now go up to 56 points. They'll jump up to 5th. Of course, they do have that game in hand, so we can just about, you would think Gold Coast will beat Essendon in that final game, so you would think that would already put Gold Coast, say, on 56. That would jump them up to 60, so that would jump them up into around 3rd position there at the moment. So Carlton will play Gold Coast tonight. And of course, Port Adelaide out of the hunt, but Fremantle got to travel over to Port Adelaide tonight. That game coming up in an hour's time. If Freo win, they'll jump into the top 4. Can you believe it? They will jump into the top 4. And of course, the GWS Giants playing North Melbourne. I know that's the GWS Giants home game. You just don't know what's going to happen here, but you do expect the Giants to win. Of course, Melbourne will play the Western Bulldogs. And of course, if Melbourne happen to beat the Western Bulldogs, that is yibbity yibbita, folks. That is all for the Western Bulldogs this season if Melbourne do happen to beat them. You would think. And of course, the West Coast Eagles down the bottom, 18th, they'll be playing Adelaide Crows. Adelaide Crows, I'm tipping will win that by about 120 points. And they should end the season, you would imagine, top of the table with 2 rounds to go after that. So it's going to be fascinating. So the battle will be far between 2nd and 8th, or 2nd and 9th if the Western Bulldogs end up winning on Sunday. So I'll tell you what, this looks like this is going to chop and change. It's like a juggler with 8 balls in his hand, just juggling 2 through to 9. That being said, Geelong, they come up against Sydney next week. Well, that's going to be a fantastic game. Really interesting the way Sydney performed, but you would think Geelong would get the job done there. So it's going to be a real juggling act between 3rd and 9th, where the positions fall with only 3 or 2.5 rounds left to go. And of course, after this week, 2 rounds. But it's going to be super duper fantastic. But there we go. There we go. So as I said, we've got the chances of Fremantle jumping up the ladder. And, of course, Gold Coast Suns going up the ladder. Hawthorn could end up 7th after tonight's games. Freo could end up 4th. Gold Coast could end up 5th spot if things go their way. But what a fantastic game spectacle to listen to, watch today. Sydney Swans by 2 points. Fantastic. I'll tell you what, I've got to give a big shout out. I've got to give a big shout out to the Sydney Swans for winning today, because you certainly helped my team out, Collingwood, who's not going well. We remain in 3rd position at the present time. So big shout out to Sydney Swans. Whew. There we go. I'll tell you what, I thought I'd get that in. There we go. A big Freo chant tonight. Ring-a-ding-ding. It's going to be a fantastic... I tell you what, I can't wait for that one. I tell you what, Freo will want to be on song in tonight's game over there in Adelaide. With only 3 games left of Ken Hinkley's coaching career there at Port Adelaide, they'll be going all out to win that one, especially at home. But Freo, if they're real contenders, they need to get the job done, especially against Port Adelaide over there. Hey, folks, that's it. Hey, if you want to join in... 1 hour's time, we're going to cover that one. It'll be really fascinating to watch the Port Adelaide Freo game. That's the next game we're going to be covering, AFL football action. So if you want to tune on in, certainly pop on board. I'm not sure if I can actually do any tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and find out and see. I think I've got to pop out tomorrow. Yeah, unfortunately. But if I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure. But if not, we're still going to do the Port Adelaide Freo game, folks. If you want to tune on into that one, see how they go. I'm sure there'll be a lot of interesting supporters out there, all surrounding Freo. So like the Brisbane supporters, the Collingwood supporters, the Hawthorn, Gold Coast, Giants, Western Bulldogs, all the supporters there will be interested in this game coming up over there in an hour's time over there in Adelaide. So it should be an absolute ring-a-ding-ding game, folks. Stick around. 1 hour's time, we'll be heading there. Hey, but that's all I've got for this game. Thanks everyone for coming in, tuning in, listening in to the broadcast, having a good chat in the chat. Yeah, look, feel free, everyone. If you're in there listening on in, you're a footy fan, you can give your team a shout out, even if they're not playing, or who you think's going to win, all that type of thing. You can let us know who you think's going to win the grand final, make the grand final, who you think's going to miss out on the top 8. I'll tell you what, the game was that close today. Our poll was split 50% each. 50-50 our poll was today, so you can't get much closer than that. And as it happened, it was pretty much like that. In the dying seconds of the game, Brisbane nearly got the job done. Sydney, though, too good in today's match. Winners by 2 points up here at the Gabba. All right, folks, that is me. I'm over and out. Thanks all for tuning in. We'll catch you at the Port Freo game in around about 50 minutes' time. So until that game, folks, ciao for now. And we'll see you at the next game.